Hi YouTube, I am Trollymog. I am a variety streamer on Twitch. I play indie and small studio games, Metroidvanias, roguelikes and roguelites, horror games, text-based games, and rhythm games primarily. Today we are playing Swooning Over Stans, a dating sim visual novel based on the world of Gravity Falls. In this game, you can romance either Grunkle Stan or Grunkle Ford. We're going to be going the Stan route because, honestly, Ford's a little bit of a dick, and Grunkle Stan is a lot more fun. So let's get into it and see how well we can romance this Grunkle. Good old road trips, full of promise and ripe with potential for adventure, soul-searching, and incredible scenery. Or at least that's what you thought before the novelty wore thin. As of now, your legs are cramping up, you've exhausted your travel playlist 2 times over, and your stomach is begging for something to eat. On top of all of that, you're pretty sure you're lost. Driving through Oregon paints a picture of trees, trees and more trees, especially on the endless winding roads that you're taking up north. All that breaks the pattern is a sign that zips past with the words that you're just able to make out. Gravity Falls. The road continues on, giant redwoods looming on both sides. You find yourself anticipating something because as you drive on, you can feel it. Something strange is bound to happen here. Something weird. And that's when it happens. Your car picks up speed. The change came out of nowhere, and you quickly put your foot on the brakes, but horrifyingly, the car seems to be driving on its own willpower. Trying to stay calm despite the panic welling in your chest, you pull the emergency brake, only to find that the car resists and keeps moving forward, like something is pulling it. The car begins to rattle, the wheels screech against the country road, and you're screaming until... crash. There's... smoke. Why is there smoke? You cough, fumble for the door, and manage to undo the lock just before the door is wrenched outward from your grasp. Something lands on your shoulder. A hand. Are you all right? A man stands at your open car door. His hand on your shoulder leaves you to tilt your head up, and he pulls a flashlight from his coat, shining it in your eyes. 2 blinks, and he lets your chin go. His eyes dart over the rest of you, looking for injuries. Still stunned, all you do is watch. What's your name? Oh. My name is Regular Person, apparently. We are Trollymog. Trollymog, I'm Stanford Pines. Ford for short. I would shake your hand, but you look shaken up enough as it is. You seem fine as far as I can tell, but shouldn't you head back out there? But you shouldn't head back out there anytime soon. Where on earth were you driving in such a hurry? You open your mouth to explain when a voice calls from inside the house. Poindexter, this better not be one of your experiments again. I've had this place rebuilt too many times to... The owner of the voice walks out of the house and stops slack-jawed at the sight of your car in the side of, you're guessing, his house. You must have hit your head earlier because you could swear you're seeing double. Sweet Moses, Ford, you've done it this time. What? This had nothing to do with me. I was testing my magnet gun and... It must have pulled this victim of circumstance into the house. I suppose it is entirely my fault. I'm incredibly sorry. We're gonna reassure him. Unsure of why you're reassuring this mystery man who just wrecked your car, you give an awkward shrug. It's all right? No, I must have done something wrong. A wire mix-up, perhaps, or the potentiometer. They're talking about your other mistake, Sixer. Oh, right. Hey, look, it's fine, all right? Sure, there's a dent in the hood from the shack's signage and a crack in the windshield that looks like an ominous triangle, but I'm sure she'll still run. You try to start up the car. It is happening! Hello, Flora! Welcome to the first Visual Novel Friday. How are you doing today? There was a little bit of a stutter with it because apparently, I'm not sure if it's all Twitch games or just the way that this visual novel is made, but I can't use the regular game capture for it. So slight learning curve there while I got the browser capture going for it. But it is appearing on screen and working properly now. I am good. I'm happy with this so far. It seems really well drawn. Like it looks really good. So yeah, you didn't really miss much. Basically we were just driving down the road and then it felt like our car suddenly was being pulled. We crashed into the side of the mystery shack. And it turns out that Ford was using a magnet gun and possibly did not have it calibrated correctly. You try to start up the car, it sputters, but ultimately nothing happens. You feel like crying. Oh. Well, let's call a tow truck for this unfortunate soul here and forget. I'll take care of it. You're right, it is cheaper to tow it yourself. Sixer, get that magnet gun out again. No, Stanley, I'm going to fix this. What? Huh, you fix this mess? I figured out a few alien vehicles in my time. Nah, you kidding me? It'd take some sort of miracle worker to bring this baby back to life, and this miracle worker is on vacation. Stanley, a moment. Ford and Stanley turn away, and you're left to your thoughts. Who could anticipate a car accident like this in the middle of a road trip? You can take care of the car, but how are you going to get home? They run buses out here, right? So you take a bus out of here, and then... Ford clears his throat, shifting a little awkwardly in place. It seems like they've have finished their talk. So, there are a few options. My brother Stanley here could drive you out to town to find a place to stay the night. Or you could stay the night here. We have some maps and information you can look at in the gift shop, and in the morning we can help you with your car. What do you say? Just as you're about to answer, another high-pitched voice comes from inside the house. Grunkle Stan, picture this. A whole week of, oh my gosh. The girl that runs out of the house comes to a halt at the sight of your car. Oh, great. Grunkle Ford? Why is it that everyone automatically thinks I'm at fault? Well, this time it is my fault, but I've invited Trollymog here to stay with us for the night. If she'd like. I'm sure I can fix this. I just have to figure out how. Stanley sighs. I can take a look. Being on vacation is pretty boring, and the old Stanmobile hasn't needed a tune-up yet, so it wouldn't be too bad to work on something in the meantime. Thank you, Stanley. I'm sure I can put together something from the gadgets I have laying around if you need any specialized tools to help you with the job. And let me introduce myself. I'm Mabel. You can ask me anything. I pretty much know everything there is to know about this place. Wait, hold on. I haven't even said anything yet. I appreciate your offer to let me stay. And to repair your car. Yeah, it'll be good as new in my hands. I mean, look at my Stanmobile. She's been through the ringer and who knows how many times, and she's still a beaut. He points out a red car parked a distance away. You can't really see how beautiful it is at this distance, but he sounds really confident. Well, this turn of events is... What do you think, Flora? Fortuitous or suspicious? You think it's suspicious? Okay. Free repairs? Free lodging? What is this? The setup to a murder? You can see the headline now. Unsuspecting tourist dies mysterious death in backwater town. But at least the jury's still out on these people. The cost of auto repair anywhere else would show you no mercy. Well, thanks for railroading me into the plot here. I honestly do really enjoy games that let you just like be like, nope. I tap out like right at the very beginning and the game ends and you get like a special ending for that. Well, I accept. Thanks for the help. And my apologies again. What an embarrassment. I must have made such an elementary mistake. Oh, there we go. As the pines lead you inside the house, Mabel leaves her number in your phone for you to call whenever, and you find out that the Ford twins, that Ford's twin goes by Stan. This part's the house, but just outside that door is the Mystery Shack. Hey, you ever been to the Mystery Shack before? I wanted to, actually. I saw a bumper sticker while I was on the road and got curious. You're interrupted by a loud, triumphant, "Ha! Those bumper stickers were a good investment, and Sixer says they're too plain and graphically simplistic and don't even have an address on them, Stanley. How is anyone supposed to find the place to attract customers?" Sixer, did you hear that? Well, they are graphically simplistic. I don't know how she found the place, let alone thought, "What is the Mystery Shack?" was compelling. I kind of liked it. See? She liked it. Hey, I like you, Trolley Mug. How about I give you a tour sometime tomorrow? Regular price. Tomorrow? Then I'll have to squeeze all my get-to-know-you questions in today. Trolley Mug, tell me, capybara, yes or no? At that moment, a boy passes in the hallway at the far doorway, and Ford calls out to him. Dipper, my boy, I'm surprised I didn't see you run out to the scene of the crime. Dipper looks like he has had a day. That is, yeah. Admittedly, it's been a while since I watched the end of the series, so that could be very accurate for end series Dipper. Crime? What crime? I have an alibi. I swear. Oh, you have someone with you. Hi, haha. I'm not suspicious at all. Did you guys see that car on the side of the shack, though? For a second, I thought the Manitors were back with a grudge. Yes. About that, Dipper. Meet Trolley Mog. I've, stranded her car here by accident. She's staying here for the time being. Sorry, stranded her car here? You crashed it? Yeah, the S in shack fell on it and everything, and the windows are cracked. One window, the windshield. And Trolley Mog was lucky to make it out alive. She's fine. No injuries, thankfully. The magnet gun's rather safe despite never having been tested in a formal setting. Yeesh. Did you not, take safety precautions or anything? Actually, the irony of the situation is that I was trying to install a safety precaution. Hey, if you two are gonna do your nerd talk, I'm gonna get Trolley Mog set up. Mabel, sweetie, why don't you show Trolley Mog around? Let her stay in, the storage room. That's still empty, right? I'll make it empty. The rest of the day consists of Mabel showing you the storage room you'll be staying in, then the kitchen, and the living room, and the hallway, and the bathroom, and pretty much a comprehensive tour of the mundanities of a regular house. Eventually, you find out that the family is even more extended than you knew. The decorative doilies make a lot more sense knowing a grandmother normally lives here, and her grandson, Seuss. Or was it Zeus? Whatever the name, you look forward to meeting him when he comes for work in the morning. But when you go up to the attic, Mabel opens the door to reveal Dipper, nose stuck in his book. But you catch him occasionally glancing up at you as he pretends to read. The next member of the family snorts up at you from Mabel's bed, a rotund pink pig, who Mabel declares as her best friend and partner in crime, Waddles. The two are a perfect match, right down to the chubby cheeks and boopable noses. And in the evening, though you'd still been in disbelief over the state of your car, the family dinner and after-dinner TV marathon you'd been invited to made it seem like a normal guest's day, rather than a forced circumstance. Returning to the storage room Mabel had shown you earlier, you find an air mattress waiting for you, and more pillows and sheets than a summer's night warrants. You wake to the weak glare of sunlight streaming in through the small, high window in the wall. You can't remember your room having this kind of feature, or any hotel or motel room for that matter. and yesterday comes crashing back to you. You glance at the time to see you've slept into the afternoon. Experiencing the accident yesterday must have left you tired out. Despite having been assured yesterday evening that you were free to anything in the fridge, you still feel like you're imposing on the Pines family and try preparing as polite a guest breakfast as you can. You wash your dishes in the sink before you leave, and just as you're about to exit the kitchen, you bump into Ford. Excuse... Oh, Yes, from yesterday, of course. For a good solid moment, Ford regards you in awkward silence. Ford clears his throat. I believe Stanley's taking a look at your car outside, if you want to be there for it. You give a nod and make to leave for real this time when Ford speaks up again. And Trollymog? I'm sorry again for the incident. If I'd been smarter about... Well, let's just say it's entirely my fault, and you shouldn't worry about this at all. When it comes down to it, Stanley does have a knack for cars. I predict you'll be back on the road in a matter of weeks. Weeks. You can't keep the dismay off your face, and can't really bring yourself to try either. What am I going to do with weeks? Ford, who'd gone kind of uncomfortable and closed off when your face fell, recovers at the prospect of a question he can answer. Well, there's the town tour, of course. And the Mystery Shack. But if you ask me, that all pales in comparison to... Hold on, do you hear that? Ford turns to the kitchen doorway to investigate. Sounds like... The sound comes again, and this time you hear it as well. The squeal of a pig, followed by a pair of quick footsteps running down the stairs. Waddles tumbles past the open kitchen doorway, and Mabel comes into view soon after, a few sheets of paper clutched in her hand. Ford steps quickly out of the kitchen, and you follow to the doorway, and getting there just in time to see the apparent tug-of-war between Mabel and her pig over a saliva-covered sheet of paper. The paper rips, and after nearly toppling backwards from her efforts, Mabel recovers, snatching the scrap of ripped paper from Waddles' jaw and lifting both pieces up victoriously. Ha-ha! Mabel wins again! Now I just gotta find... Grunkle Ford! Ford, who'd run forward and held a hand out to steady this energetic child when she'd been in danger of toppling over, now finds a number of crumpled sheets of paper shoved into his hands. Mabel tugs urgently at his coat. Grunkle Ford, you've got to help me. Ford kneels down to face Mabel with a serious, though concerned, look. Slow down, Mabel. What's the matter? Dipper found a stack of pages from your old journals, and I walked in, and Waddles ran up and started eating one, and he must have been chewing on it to warn me, Grunkle Ford, because look. Mabel takes the ripped halves of paper back from Ford's hand and joins them together, holding it up for Ford to see. I see. And you took it as a warning? Yes. It says here that it eats small dogs, and Waddles is a small pig, but he sort of looks like a dog from far away, and Waddles must have feared for his life. Waddles seems to second this notion with a snort. Or not, as it seems the pig is lounging adorably a short distance away in the hallway. You can't imagine what this dangerous predator could be. Some kind of wolf? Something bigger? Suddenly you're not so keen on staying anymore. Remember the pterodactyl I told you about? Waddles was so scared that time, I can't let him leave my side. Pterodactyl? You suppose pigs are allowed in museums or around here? How about I finish that repellent I never got around to completing? That'll keep Waddles safe from harm. Mabel flops down on the floor in relief. Grunkle Ford, you are an actual lifesaver. Waddles, you have nothing to fear. Ford chuckles, lifting himself out of the kneel and standing back up. All right, I'll go get my recipe. Ford turns to leave, and you suddenly remember that with nothing better to do for the weeks you're going to be here, it wouldn't hurt to get to know Ford. He seems to know what there is to do around town anyway, and you'll need to not die of boredom in the first week. Or, more pressingly, you could go check on your car and see what Stan's made out of it so far. You're not exactly eager to face seeing your car in the side of the house again, though. What should you do? Okay, Flora, you got an opinion here? Get to know Ford or check on your car? Your car? Okay. After Ford leaves, Mabel rolls away with her pig towards the living room, and you head out of the house in search of Stan. I'm going to save just in case we run into more issues. The Mystery Shack should only have 4 main sides, but you feel like you've made your rounds past 5 of them before finally seeing your absolute wreck of a car. You swear it looks even worse than it did when you crashed it. Stan stands before it, hands on his hips, as he looks at the large wooden S that made its indent in the car's hood. How bad is it? Can't tell yet, not till I get this letter off the hood. That S never did like to stay in place. Mystery Shack, huh? Look, if you're gonna insult me... Oh, you were reading the sign. I'm fixing that later, alright? Just avert your eyes. Don't look at it. I think we're gonna offer to help him. I guess we should fix it as soon as possible then. Sounds good to me. Give me a hand here, would you? Stan directs you to help him push the wooden S off the car. It stalls a little in its own dent, but with another firm shove, its end meets the ground. Stan gives it another push with a grunt, and it tips, falling completely to the ground with a whomp. Now that it's free of its burden, Stan lifts up the dented hood of the car to take a look inside. He hums and rubs a hand over his chin in thought, walking over to his toolbox and grabbing a tool before walking back, still assessing the damage. Yeah, this one's gonna take a while. You've got parts that need replacing, not to mention she's not gonna look so hot after this. Not unless Ford got the tech squirreled away somewhere that can smooth out these dents. The more he tells you of the situation, the more it all sinks in. You really are stuck here. Stan spots your worried frown. Hey, trolley-mog, right? Look, I know how this sounds, but with me on the job, you'll be all set and back on that road in no time. You think so? Kid, I know so. I even got a plan to get those replacement parts of yours. Might not be able to clean up all these scuff marks after I'm done, but she'll run. And hey, so maybe you gotta stay a couple days. So what? There are worse places to get stranded, believe me. In fact, I'd even say the Mystery Shack is the best place to get stranded. We've got all tons of stuff for people just passing through. Merchandise, magic, mystery, any other M words, mayhem. You get the idea. Stan tosses the tool in his hand back in the toolbox, exchanging it for another. He works for a while longer in your silence. Metallic clanks and the occasional heavy breath, all that mixes in with the sound of the outdoors. You stand by, awkward, uncomfortable, and a little useless. Can I help with anything? Know anything about cars? No. Stan straightens, cracks his back, and sets down a tool before leaning casually against the nearest load-bearing surface. He wipes his forehead, lets his hand fall to his waist, and gives you an assessing look. How about collages? Tall tales? Improv? Yeah, I think I can handle that. But what does that have to do with this? You gesture at your stranded car, held in limbo between life and death by nothing other than Stan Pine's car expertise and a little luck. Nothing. I was planning on having you help me help Seuss around the shack. A favor for a favor. What do you say? Well, it's more interesting than helping Ford with his pest problem. You accept. That's interesting because we don't actually know anything about Ford and his pest problem. So that's kind of like a little bit of a story jump or mismatch. That must have been if we got to know Ford a little bit better before coming out to see the car. All right, follow me. You follow Stan back into the mystery shack, passing by the showroom and getting a glimpse of an energetic figure leading a flock of tourists through a veritable sea of obviously fabricated oddities. You hear the words, "And this is the ninth wonder of the world," right in the mystery shack. It's what makes this place world famous, dudes. Stan notices your pace slowing as you listen and tosses an explanation back for you. That's Seuss. During operating hours, he's the Mystery Shack's one and only Mr. Mystery. I told him he didn't have to keep the shack running while he's on vacation, but the kid's got a passion for the role. You interested in this kind of stuff? I was thinking about going on a tour. It feels weird now that you're staying at a tourist trap, though. And you were kind of going to poke fun at the exhibits. Harder to do when you have to live around your tour guide. It's fine, really. Nah, I think I want to give you a tour of the place. You'll get one from the founder himself. You ever hear one of my plugs on the radio? You weren't really paying attention to the radio during the drive, just taking in the Oregon scenery. See the signs pointing this place for over a mile down the road? Again, you were pretty preoccupied with the Oregon scenery, but you guess you did see some signs with question marks on them. That's some vague advertising. Just seeing what works. Bumper stickers, huh? Ha, still got one on Ford. Anyway, follow me, folks. Well, folk. Get ready to be amazed. Stan starts leading you back the way you came. You trail behind him, a little skeptical, but definitely curious. Didn't you say the founder would lead this tour? Is Seuss the founder? Stan laughs. What? No, I'm the founder. Built this place from the ground up. Well, metaphorically speaking. I mean, the house was here, and the junk was here, but I was the one who spun this place into a wondrous house of mysterious junk. Stan gestures with his arms like he's smoothing out a rainbow. You're not very impressed. Prepare to be amazed. You're still not very impressed, but his energy gets you hoping you'll be amazed anyway. There's a tour group in the showroom right now, so I'll be taking you in a different cycle that completely misses them. We're starting in the gift shop. You enter the gift shop, a simple room crowded top to bottom with the standard tourist souvenirs and merchandise. You see t-shirts with question marks, mugs with question marks, and pretty much everything has question marks. In one corner of the room stands a lumpy attempt of a statue labeled the Founder. It's recognizable as Stan only by the nose and glasses. This room usually comes after I butter the customers up to buying things, but since you're staying a while, I'll have plenty of time to sell you stuff later. Take a look around. If you see an impulse buy, make it. Nothing like trusting your instincts. Oh. Laura, do you have any... oh, actually, I think we're just looking at these, not necessarily buying it. Okay. Well, I guess we'll start at the top and work our way, because there is a done-looking option. So the founder statue. Yeah, should have asked Mabel to carve it. You gotta admit that every version of me's got a charming smile, though. The Aztec calendar. I absolutely know how to read that thing, and you should buy it. A jar of eyeballs. Iconic. Thought we sold this thing years ago. Ha! Nah, forgot to put a price on it. It just has a $sign on it. Stan takes out a dark marker and squeezes in a $9.99. Then he goes back and makes it $29.99. I was thinking $10 for a jar full of eyeballs is actually, I think a pretty good deal. I don't know what the going rate on eyeballs is, but it seems like it should be more than $10. Honestly, it does seem like it should be more than $30 too. That jar's got a lot of eyeballs. Okay, freezer full of iced goods. Just because you're staying over does not mean you get to sneak over here for a popsicle. I get to do that, but that's because this used to be my place and I get founder benefits. I also get founder dibs on the pineapple ice pops. Yeah, you can have them. Who doesn't love a good souvenir t-shirt? They're great for layering. And they got the characteristic Mystery Shack question mark on them. What makes it a Mystery Shack question mark instead of just a regular question mark? You ask too many questions. Or do you? He says that last part in an exaggerated tone that betrays it as a sales pitch. This guy has no subtlety. So the pyramid of mugs, it says, you can't actually take one out of that stack. I glued them together way back when. Secret business trick. And you're telling me because no one will ever believe you. Then they'll try it, and the whole stack will fall to the floor. You notice the you break it, you buy it sign on the wall. Okay, the pine tree hat. Tipper used to wear one of those. Seuss tells me they sold like hotcakes after Ford tossed his journals into the bottomless pit. Funny, those events have no correlation. Journals? Bottomless pit? We'll have a chance to swing by the bottomless pit later. It's a prime spot in every tour because the troublemakers always accidentally trip in and I get to lead the tour without them for 20 minutes. I'm kidding! You should have seen the look on your face. Employee of every month. Seuss has always been the hardest worker in the place. It was only natural to hand it over to him. Okay, so we're done looking at everything. You sure? Well, I think I hear the tour group heading out of the showroom anyway. There's one of the... I added a voice patch to actually put in a couple of like little voice lines, so that was one of them. Now, most tourists don't... Actually, I should double check my audio levels to make sure. Oh, it's really quiet. Sorry about that. Hopefully that is a little bit better. Oh no, no worries. The game got caught again. It seems to freak out when switching between scenes sometimes, so I do have to remember to save regularly. We were just taking a look at a number of items in the gift shop. And then we had the first audio line in the game, because I did add a sound patch to add some audio. So Stan just said "behold" as he was taking us into the display room. But I realized that it was a little quiet, so I've turned up the game music. So let me know if the game music is a little too loud in comparison to my voice. I hope your computer, is behaving a little bit better now and it was not a super serious meltdown. I am going to save though since we're talking about it. There we go. Now, most tourists don't appreciate nature's artistic genius. By which I mean my artistic genius, because I remembered you're going to help me out today. You don't think up a money-making wonder like the Sasquatch by having a boring 9-to-5 office job. You think it up when you wonder, why hasn't anyone found the Sasquatch? Could it be that its name has been mispronounced this whole time? Anyway, just let me know when you've soaked up enough inspiration from this room, because you're going to need to use it right after. Alright, come on. We're gonna see what makes this place the Mystery Shack instead of just the Shack. We're making another attraction for the showroom. You follow Stan through the living room to the kitchen, where stuffing and animal parts are strewn across the surface to your left. Stan pulls out a thick needle and a spool of thread, and as an afterthought adds a couple nails and a hammer to the pile. It seems a little unsanitary to do this just across from the fridge, and has the potential to look almost gruesome if it weren't so oddly cartoonish. He steps up to the workspace and pulls at the googly eyes that have been glued over the lifeless, glassy ones typical of taxidermy. Mabel's contributions to the craft project remain firmly intact. Huh, that's what I get for letting Mabel bring her stash of scrapbooking supplies. That was one more thing to add to the backstory. Backstory? What, you don't really think tourists are dumb enough just to believe the thing that you're selling them is what you tell them it is just like that, do ya? Because if you do, you'll be set to do business in Gravity Falls. Anywhere else, though, customers take a little more work. See, every good piece comes with some kind of story. Or if you're Poindexter, some kind of lore. Horror stories work pretty well because with enough suggestions, people always find ways to spook themselves. Done it for years. It's kind of an art. Stan appears nonchalant, but you can see a quiet pride within him. Okay, do we think that sounds easy or it sounds hard? Fleecing rubes. Easy? Okay. Stan merely looked amused. Oh yeah? Let's see you take a shot at it after we put this thing together. You said you've done this for years? Always had a knack for it, even when I was a kid. Sure, there was a little learning curve involved, and I've had a few unhappy customers over the years. Stan pauses seemingly to reminisce, and the mixed smile grimace on his face tells you he probably had many, many unhappy customers. But mostly I've run a great business on telling lies. I mean stories. You're learning from a true master, kid. So why don't you run this place anymore? You look like you're still part of this place, or you work like you're still part of this place. What was your original vision for the shack? Let's get to the showpiece already. So I'm guessing we can kind of go through those top 3 options, and then the last one moves on the story. So let's start with why don't you run this place anymore? Stan's grin melts into something softer, maybe a little bittersweet. My brother wanted to drag me off on a trip with him. Couldn't say no, and I couldn't just close the place, so I left it all to Seuss. He practically grew up in this place, you know. Definitely wouldn't have trusted it to Wendy. She's usually the cashier around here in the summer. It's weird having to explain this all to you. I keep thinking you all already know this. Okay, so you work like you're still part of this place. You can take the man out of the mystery shack, but you can never take the mystery out of a man. Specifically me, which is why I'm back to work even though I don't have to. 30 years of the same routine will do that to you. What was your original vision for the shack? Vision? Make money. What other vision do you need? But over the years, sure, I've used the mystery line for advertising. Who isn't curious? Who doesn't want to be amazed? Kids are the most skeptical of the bunch, though, let me tell you. Once they hit about 8 or 9, they love trying to prove it's all fake. Then they get older and they realize there's nothing good left in the world unless you pretend there is, and everyone pretends along with you because they're all desperate. Jesus, this is getting fucking deep. Stan turns his attention back to the workspace, and you notice one of the more daunting selections of items that lay upon the table. It's not the number, but the variety that makes you unsure of how you're going to craft something out of this. Yeah, I don't know what you're going to do with this stuff. Surprise me. Stan walks off to the side to, you guess, do some work on his own. You're glad he's not going to watch you the whole way through. How are you going to approach this? So we can either piece together as many matching parts as we can find, we can piece together as many disparate parts as we can find, or we can keep a nice mix of matched and mismatched. I feel like maybe we should try to reincarnate. Do you remember Arnold? I think maybe we need as many disparate parts as we can find. Oh, Arnold. That screaming dinosaur sound coming from that misshapen... It was like a parrot dinosaur cross, wasn't it? I remember it had like one of those like mooing sound things in it too, where you turn it upside down and it goes like wow, that sort of thing. Ah, man. Memories. Okay, let's do disparate parts. How should we keep these parts attached? Use some hand stitching and really tie this all together. Use a stapler, it's faster. Hammer and nails, obviously. Keeping with the theme of Arnold, I believe that we should do the hand stitching. Okay, you have a base to work off of. What next? We can add some sculpted details. Color in some of the fur just to accent the googly eyes, or just call it a day. I'm feeling the sculpted details. Yeah, it makes me think of Homemade Horrors and their monsters, only a much shittier version. Hey, Stan, I'm finished. Hey, not bad, Trollymog. Not bad at all. Stan lifts your anomalous amalgam aloft triumphantly. So what's the story here? Give it to me. So how do we want to approach this story? More fact than fiction, more fiction than fact. I think we just have fun with it. With a guy like Arnold, you know, you need to just go wild. This is a Fiskwerkin, a fish squirrel chicken. Stan nods appraisingly. Sounds like you got the hang of this. Alright, this thing's about as close to show ready as it'll get. Here, or wait a sec. Stan carries the showpiece out of the room. After a few moments, you hear his footsteps return, and he comes back into the room with 2 cans of Pit Cola. Stan sets one down on the dining table, its condensation starting a slow drip onto the table's surface. He waves you over to join him, and you slide into the seat across from him. Nothing like a cold one to finish up the day. Cheers! He picks up his can, gesturing towards you with it as he leans leisurely back in his chair, and you watch as he takes a sip. It's a nice-looking sip, and now you're staring. Oh god, this is... like, at some points, I'm like, if this wasn't Grunkle Stan, like, I'm actually enjoying kind of, like, this kind of bluff character versus this uptight character. But every now and then, it's like, oh, right, you're ogling like, Grunkle Stan, and this is very disturbing. You pull over your own can and pop it open. So, got any questions for me? Talking tends to ease me into a new place. Might do the same for you. Yeah, tell me about Ford. Is Ford usually like that? You mean trying to fix what ain't broken and ending up making trouble? Nah, he was the good twin growing up. You were the troublemaker, I can tell. Stan laughs. You have no idea. We'll ask him about the exhibits. The showroom already seemed full when I saw it earlier. Why make more? Tourists love variety. Put up a sign advertising a new attraction and they'll come pouring through the doors. When I started this place, I didn't think I'd, you know, like making these. Used to be just another thing that made money. Now I'm stuck with it. Guess 30-something years of routine will do that to a man. Stan sounds gruff, but it's a fond gruffness. Sixer says keeping familiar habits helps too, so I've kept it up. You think I could sell some of these as art pieces? I kind of like the option assume that was a rhetorical question. But honestly, based off of what I've seen on Etsy and other places, I'm like, yes, you could sell these as art pieces. Yeah, I could play them up to buyers and sell them at an even more ridiculous price than I usually would. I'd buy one. I'm holding you to that. And then we will ask him about him. So tell me about yourself. Stan laughs nervously. What is this, a first date? Well, I'm Pines, Stan Pines, Imaginator, Town Darling, used to be proprietor of the Mystery Shack. He pauses and stays paused. You give him an expectant look that wants him to continue, and he clears his throat, nervous. What, you were serious? I don't get this often. The longest I can get people to listen to me is when I'm selling them something, and even then it's tough luck. The last time someone listened to me, they tried to eat me. Can you believe that? I barely got much meat left on me. And? Keep going, you can't just end it there. Stan gives an uncertain smile, which becomes a full-on grin, and he laughs. Alright, I'll tell you. So you see, there's this irresistible thing called revenge. Stan tells you a tale of a road trip, a mountain full of mummies, and a woman who is secretly a spider. You don't believe a word of it, but you find yourself enjoying it anyway. Stan knows how to hold his audience in a decent suspense, and he seems to light up whenever you laugh at the right parts, grinning along with you. Before today, you'd never even heard of Mr. Mystery before, but now you feel like you're really seeing something special out here, one-on-one with the man himself. So let's ask about his past. Although this wasn't an option before, so I wonder if this is like asking about his past will negatively impact the progression towards that romance. But we're gonna do it anyway. You're really interested in me, huh? Or do you ask everyone these kind of questions? What do you think, Flora? Are we interested in Grunkle Stan, or are we just interested in everyone? Yeah. Let's keep it light for now. Like we've been at that house for like less than 24 hours, and I am enjoying the way that they're writing Stan's character a bit more than Ford's. But yeah, let's play the field a little bit. Oh, that was quick. You've heard about me already. Go bother Dipper or something. Feel like he's writing his autobiography into his journal when he hasn't even lived past his early life section yet. Stan tips his head back to get that final sip of pit, and then sets the empty can down with an air of finality. Well, Trollymog, you did good for your first try. If you feel like helping me around again sometime, returning the favor of the car, let me know. You nod, and Stan gets up to leave when you remember something. Wait, I still owe you the price of admission, right? For the tour earlier? Nah, don't worry about it. Gives me something to hold over you if I need it. He says that and he leaves, but even from what little you've seen of him, you feel like that Stan's not the type to really hold that over you. At least not for anything serious. This tourist trap might have more to offer you than you thought. Oh my god. That's amazing. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a love meter with Grunkle Stan. We'll see if it's frozen again, because there's something at the bottom. It's like you were made for each other. Can you give me dating tips? You're good at this. Okay, not frozen. Good. But I will save. Here we go. You wake up to a loud crash downstairs. Not entirely uncommon in this house, you're quickly finding out, but still disconcerting. More clatters and thumps lead you to the kitchen, where Mabel teeters on a short step ladder in front of the pantry. Standing on her tiptoes, she reaches as high as she can for a small yellow box on the top shelf. A pancake mix. Without a word, you go to her side and pluck the box from the shelf for her, placing it into her outstretched hand. Oh, Trollymog, thank you. Grunkle Stan put it up on the top shelf for some reason, but I need some Mabel cakes. It's a breakfast emergency. She waggles her 3 fingers in your face, and you can't help but laugh. You can tell the house becomes more alive when this kid's around. Want to help me make them? We only need chocolate milk, coffee, pink food coloring, and pot of goldos to make this breakfast dream a breakfast reality. As delicious as that sounds, you're inclined to ask where the coffee comes into the mix when you realize the house is suspiciously quiet. Mabel, where is everybody? Oh, Grunkle Stan needed stuff for your car, so he went to get mechy techie stuff for that. I think Grunkle Ford's somewhere. He heard the abominable broman was trying to steal soda from campers, so he went to help them out. Yep, that's where he went. Totally knew that. So they left you guys to make breakfast on your own? You don't know the family well enough yet to know if this is commonplace, so the idea of leaving 2 teenagers alone to fend for themselves seems fine. If one of the teenagers wasn't Mabel, anyway. You still don't know how coffee fits into her Mabel cakes, but now you don't really want to know. Dipper attempts to hide the pancake mix from Mabel while she's grabbing the chocolate milk from the fridge. Apparently he doesn't want to find out either. Mabel, while your Mabel cakes sound absolutely divine, why don't we... Quick, think of something so you don't hurt her feelings. Yeah, maybe why don't we go out for breakfast? I think that would be less hurtful than pivoting to asking Dipper if he can cook. Is there somewhere we can go out to get breakfast? We really should save the Mabel cakes till your great uncles get back. I know they wouldn't want to miss them. But I want to perfect my recipe. I have to get better at cooking and baking and stuff so I can survive out there in the world. What if in high school I'll have to bake stuff and people are better than me? Mabel looks very agitated, tugging at her hair with both hands. If I can't make perfect Mabel cakes, I can never be on Bad Dreams Dining. I gotta impress Gerald Rambone, Trolley Mug. It's my destiny. Apparently that was the wrong option, and we're supposed to be asking Dipper if he can cook. Maybe Dipper can help you make something different? We should save the Mabel cakes for another day. A more special day. But, Trolley Mug... Mabel, still standing on the stepladder, reaches up and squishes her cheeks together, her wide eyes staring into your soul. Every day is a special day with Mabel cakes. You glance at Dipper, making a please help me and I'll buy you breakfast face you hope he understands. Yeah, Mabel, I know you want to cook more since you're becoming an adult. Sure, but don't you think Grunkle Stan and Great Uncle Ford should be here to try them too? And not just me. Again. Mabel hops off the stepladder and ponders her brother's question, lips pursed. Eventually she nods, beaming at you both. You're right, Dipper. I can't deny them that experience. You give Dipper a thankful smile over Mabel's head as she puts the ingredients back in the refrigerator. He grins at you, rubbing the back of his neck. You wonder if he got that one from one of his grunkles. That's clever. Now that you think about it, great plus uncle to make grunkle. Saves on syllables. We should go to Greasy's. They have some of the best pancakes there, with like 3 different kinds of syrup if you ask Lazy Susan nicely. Yeah, it's not super far. Let's go. The kids are about to head out of the kitchen when you realize something. Wait, aren't you going to leave a note to your grunkles about where we're going? Oh, right. Good call. Dipper scribbles out a note for Stan and Ford and sticks it on the front of the door of the shack with one of Mabel's stickers. Oh, and the game crashed. Damn, this is not super stable. Okay. Good. You can see again. So let's load that up. We can't skip? Oh man. Okay. I'm just gonna have to tap 80 billion times. Okay, we're getting closer to where it crashed, so I'm just gonna save. Okay, Greasy's, the note. There we go. Yeah, like I said, it seems to be when it changes scenes like that it struggles a little bit. The kids lead the way towards the town, explaining various landmarks and the wild and wonderful stories attached to them along the way. And this is where we saw those 2 ghostly old people. In a convenience store? Strange, but you nod regardless. Maybe she just meant that they were so old they looked like ghosts. Actually, I started a Gravity Falls rewatch maybe about a month ago. I started it and then I kind of dropped off on it, but I saw this episode fairly recently. Dipper points out the diner in the distance, a log-shaped building atop a train cart, and the 3 of you head inside. You soon realize that the kids know just about everyone in this town. Several people, young and old, wave at them as the 3 of you find a table, and you get the feeling that they're almost famous in Gravity Falls, though you're not entirely sure why. They're pretty cute, though. Mabel blows the paper wrapper of her straw at Dipper's face, and he retaliates by swatting her with the laminated menu. An elderly woman in a pink pastel waitress dress comes to the table, and you catch the name on her tag. Susan. Hiya, kids, and stranger. What can I get for you? Pancakes and all 3 syrups for me, please, Lazy Susan. Same for me, actually. Lazy Susan turns to you, notepad in hand. What will you get? I feel like if we do pancakes, it's more, you know, with the kids that we're bonding with them. But very frankly, I want scrambled eggs and bacon today. So let's do scrambled eggs and bacon. Coming right up, sweetie. Lazy Susan winks, with her good eye, of course, and heads to the back of the diner. The wait for your food to arrive feels longer here than most, mainly due to Mabel and Dipper using this time to interrogate you. At first, it's somewhat intimidating. You literally crashed into their house and started hanging out with their great-uncles, so they have lots of questions. Once the irrational fear of 2 13-year-olds fades out, you recognize their interview for what it really is. They care about their grunkles. If you do start hanging out with them more, they want to know as much as possible, as much about you as possible. Mabel's questions are somewhat nonsensical. So if you were stranded on a desert island with no boat, no cheating, what would you take with you? How do you cheat on that? While Dippers are more careful and calculated. What were you doing before you came here? School? Work? Both? Neither? Did you know about Gravity Falls before you crashed into the shack? You immediately know which grunkle each twin takes after. Stan and Mabel, goofy partners in crime, versus the quiet brainiacs Ford and Dipper. It's an intriguing contrast, especially now that you're thrown in the middle of the bunch. But as the twins race to see which syrup bottle drips into their mouth the fastest, Dipper's blueberry syrup beats Mabel's classic maple by half a millisecond, you swear on it. You know that these kids do a lot more for their great-uncles than just be cute counterparts. And here we go. Enjoy, kiddos. Let me know if you need anything else. Lazy Susan gives out the respective plates and the kids go quiet, shoveling down their food like they've never been fed before. Between mouthfuls, you get a few more questions about yourself and your theories on aliens versus which member of M Synchronize was your favorite. But the table is near silent as the 3 of you eat. That is, until Mabel speaks up through a mouthful of pancake. So, Trolley Mug, if in a totally made up and not real situation, you had to pick your favorite, who your favorite was, who would you pick? Grunkle Stan or Grunkle Ford? This seems too bland compared to her other cutesy questions. Dipper elbows his sister in a not so subtly, and she elbows him right back, wide eyes staring at him in a sibling-linked look you can't decipher. Like, say you're in a movie, like one of those weird movies Grunkle Stan watches on TV with the ladies in poofy dresses riding horses. Awfully specific, but you let her continue, taking another bite of your food. You're the main character of this movie, and you got 2 guys who are both madly in love with you. This one doesn't mess around with getting right to the point, huh? But you could only marry one of them, so you could be the next in line for the throne. What would you do? If Grunkle Stan and Grunkle Ford were your choices, who would you go with? Mabel, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, really weird. And kind of gross. Come on, Dipper. This is important information that's vital to my research. What research? None of your business. Yet. But I'm still gathering other research. Mabel leans towards Dipper's ear to whisper, waggling her brows at you before she replies. In not a whisper, but quite the opposite. Research on how you're a huge nerd. And with that, Mabel catapults the spoonful of melted butter from atop her pancakes onto Dipper's cheek with a very satisfying splat. Dipper jerks in disgust, but retaliates by smearing strawberry syrup onto Mabel's nose, a drop of stickiness plopping onto her sweater. Ew, gross. You're gross. There's no vitriol between the twins, but lots of giggles and a few more various food missiles. Eventually, syrup streaks Mabel's cheekbones and some of her hair, and Dipper has a small piece of pancake stuck to his face. You guys are dorks. Maybe you're right, but we're twins, so it's adorable. If you say so, Mabel. Wait, quick, Trolley Mog, take a picture of us while Dipper's got pancake on his face. Oops. Can I go back? I thought it was frozen again. Okay, there we go. I have what? He swipes quickly at his face and after several passes gets it off. Aw, I was trying to get a more candid picture of us. Mabel, you have syrup everywhere. Really? Aw, then it would have been a perfect photo. Here, let me get it. Your hands are sticky enough. You get back up with a napkin in hand and try to wipe some of the syrup off of Mabel's cheeks. The excess syrup swipes off easily, but a good portion doesn't budge. I mean, maybe syrup as makeup is the next new look. That's one word for it, kid. We wondered where you went once we came back to a suspiciously quiet house. If it weren't for Dipper's note, we would have been worried. Sixer would have been worried. I tried to tell him that you kids pull this kind of stuff all the time. Heading out unannounced, putting stress on your poor old Grunkle's heart. Yeah, I just realized I need to like double check in the show, but with Ford having 6 fingers, everybody else only has like 3 fingers and a thumb. So like he actually in this at least has 2 extra fingers, which is kind of strange. He puts a hand over his heart dramatically. All those missing hours of unpaid child labor. Actually, that note wasn't from me. Well, I wrote it, but Trolley Mog's the one who said we should, so that way you'd know where we went. Both Ford and Stan turned to look at you, surprised. Really? I figured these 2 knuckleheads dragged you out here. Why not make breakfast at home? This place is at least a 15-minute walk from the shack. Well... You glance at Dipper, swinging his fingers across Mabel's cheek and licking the blueberry syrup off. Mabel has a pancake in her mouth, chewing on it like a grazing sheep. I wanted to treat them to something, I guess. It's the least I can do. You're letting me stay with you and fixing my car. I thought that since you were gone, I'd take these 2 out for a change. I decided to kidnap the children that you are monitoring for the summer. You know, the stranger that you only met a day before. That seemed like a good idea to me. Yeah, they're fine. I am going to do a little save. And I'm going to take a big swig of tea. Also, we were going to make Mabel cakes again. You're just mad you can't even make the toast right. What? Yes, I can. I burned it 1 time. 1 time. Dipper holds his syrup-tipped finger in the air, indignant. Well, Mabel wanted you guys to enjoy her Mabel cakes too, and since there wasn't much food, I figured I'd take them out. Ford asks Mabel about her creation, wondering how much extra caffeine one could gain from adding instant coffee to the concoction, but Stan stays quiet. You catch him out of the corner of your eye. He's staring at you, a lopsided smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Huh. Thanks, Trolley Mog. Appreciate it. Oh, no problem at all. You smile warmly at Stan despite the heat spreading over your cheeks, but he's rubbing the back of his neck, looking down at his seat. Mabel throws a theatrical wink your way. You're not sure why. Well, kid, if you're paying, scoot over, Dipper. I want breakfast too. Stanley, it's at least 12:30 now. I'm with Stan over Ford on this. Like you and I know. Breakfast is the first thing you eat in the day. Does not matter the time or what it's comprised of. And taco bar and chocolate milk. Grunkle Ford, that means it's time for brunch. Duh. See? This kid gets me. Now let me in there so I can get some grub. Dipper moves to your side of the booth as Stan sits next to Mabel, and Ford sits at Dipper's side. Lazy Susan comes back and takes orders for another round of food and drinks for everyone, including Mabel, who decides she wants more pancakes. You're starting to regret offering to pay. But as Stan and Mabel try their hand at the syrup drip race, with Dipper cheering them on, Ford watching with a wide grin on his face, you know you don't really mind that much. Over the next few days, you continue to help out around the Mystery Shack. Not out of obligation, but because you have nothing better to do. Besides, Seuss, practically the golden retriever of people, is really digging the input on the current installments from an outsider's perspective. Bless his soul, the guy even offered you a job if you end up stranded out here forever, dude, and need to make a life for yourself. Stan nearly choked on his ice pop as he overheard. Thinking about it now, the relationship between Seuss and Stan is unexpected, if not a little odd, but it makes you smile that no matter how many times Stan may roll his eyes as he does it, he'll always help Seuss get something done just right. Showered and dressed, you go outside as per usual, but don't see anyone. After a few minutes' search, you find Stan standing with his back to you in one of the exhibit rooms, admiring the weird and wonderful animal amalgamates he's collected for his tourist trap, hand in his chin in thought. Or chin in his hand in thought. Am I interrupting something important between you and the Gooserky? Stan turns at the sound of your voice, smiling. Nope. You need something? You have any plans tonight? He mulls your question over for a few moments, giving you an assessing look up and down. I've got a couple errands to run. Why? You want to tag along? And it is frozen again. Damn it. Ah. Okay. Let's force quit and relaunch it. Yeah, this is I don't mind a little bit of jank, but this is quite a bit of jank. There we go. And let's save. Okay, do we want to tag along on some errands? I mean, normally if someone asks me if I want to go along on errands, my answer would probably be like, why on earth would I want to do more errands? So I guess depends on what kind of errands you've got in mind, would be a pretty accurate answer for me. Some errands are more fun than others. Okay. Just your usual weeknight stops. I need a getaway driver and none of these kids are legal. He's joking. You'd think. Alright, I'm heading out in a couple of hours. Meet me out front. A couple of hours, but... No buts, Trollymog. You can't rush this stuff. Trust me. Okay, sure. Not ominous at all, Stan. Yeah. Meet me out front if you think you can handle it. He turns to go, but stops for a second and then turns back. Oh, and wear black. Something you don't mind getting dirty. And before you can ask why, he's gone into the depths of the shack. A couple hours turn into a handful, which you pass by watching some TV. With Mabel and Dipper dozing off. You have no idea what kind of satellite they get out here, but the shows on now are some of the most bizarre programming you've ever seen. Once you've had enough of waiting, you change into your darkest clothes and sit out on the front steps of the shack, watching as the sun starts to sink past the trees. It's cloudy and unusually warm for this time of day, but there's a nice breeze out. It's strange that these errands need to happen so late in the day. Considering things you've gathered about his criminal past, however, maybe this is a typical weekday night for Stan. The screen door creaks and out comes Stan, dressed all in black just like you are, with a lumpy duffel bag under one arm and a briefcase in the other hand. As he's about to speak, a sudden gust of wind comes along and ruffles his hair, and he smooths it down irritatedly before regaining his cool and nodding at you. These like very stereotypical kind of like dating sim or whatever tropes, they just hit so funny when it's Stan. Ready? Ready. You slide into the passenger seat as Stan settles into the driver's seat. It takes a couple of tries to start, but the engine's chugging away by the time you've got your seatbelt on. The radio stammers to life as the engine does, spitting out generic-sounding rock music into the leather-scented air of the car's interior. Like, I feel like this could be like a dating sim with Dean right now. You know, it seems pretty accurate, and I have always maintained that Gravity Falls and Supernatural are basically the same show, only one's for kids and one's not. A moment spent adjusting mirrors and fiddling with knobs, Stan slots the gear shift into drive and pulls out of the Mystery Shack's lot and heads down the road to town. The radio's on and Stan taps his fingers on the steering wheel to the beat of the music while he drives. So I take it we're not making a quick trip for milk and eggs? He laughs and glances over at you. Nope. Then where are we going? First stop is to see a buddy of mine, a hunter. I get all my taxidermy supplies from him. So that's where you get your parts from? Yeah. Oh, I just figured you got them from a local farm or something. And do business with those hippies? Not a chance. Well, I really enjoyed making that showpiece with you the other day. I had no idea you were so creative. He glances over at you with a poorly hidden surprise, turning almost immediately back to the road and shrugging. It's just gluing stuff together, really. Do we talk him up and talk about all the skill in this, or do we let him be modest? I don't know if it would be better to like build him up, or if it would make him awkward and uncomfortable to speak too highly about his creatures. You have a preference? Okay, we're gonna talk him up. You have a real gift for it. He turns to you again and his cheeks go a little pink when he sees the smile you're giving him. Well, thanks. After a moment, he faces the road again, but now he's tapping out the rhythm of the song with a little more enthusiasm, and even humming the chorus as he drives. Do you have any other hobbies? He rolls his shoulders back in a shrug, his head tilting off a bit towards the window. These days I spend most of my time out on the boat with Ford, hunting monsters, discovering things. He pauses, watching the road without expression. I used to box. Really? I wouldn't mind showing you a few things, if you wanted. It's so awkward. It's like, oh, you should come to my football game and watch me play. like I don't know if I really have any interest in watching you box, Stan. Let's be a little demure here and say, oh, I don't think I'd be any good at it. Let's back it off a little bit there. Hey, with me teaching you, you'll be throwing a mean left hook in no time. After about 20 minutes of rural scenery, Stan pulls off the road onto a long gravel driveway that disappears into the woods. Is this the place? Stan nods and rounds a turn to reveal a clearing populated by a trailer home and a couple sheds. The trailer is a bit run down and shabby, and one of the sheds looks like it's about one strong sneeze away from collapsing. Not really the place you want to be at night, while alone with a guy that you practically just met. Be honest, did you bring me here to murder me? Stan laughs, cutting the engine and resting his arm on the back of the front seat. Unfortunately, you figured it out, so now I definitely gotta kill you. I'm kidding, kid. Relax. He moves to get out of the car and then turns back with a creepy, blank expression on his face. Or am I? You chuckle nervously and he laughs again, pushing the door open. This would be it for me. I'm like, you know, if you're flirting, threatening to kill me is not the appropriate way to go about it. Like that is not a getting to know you flirt. That is a we've been in a relationship for quite a while and have a morbid sense of humor flirt. Yeah, that is definitely a red flag. I'm just gonna save again. Here we go. Okay. Seriously, I'm kidding. Won't be long. At the door to the trailer, Stan knocks, and the door opens on a dark interior before he walks inside. The door shuts behind him. You give the yard a few curious glances before realizing that the weird pile of sticks you've been looking at is actually bones. You quickly pull out your phone to look at instead. 10 minutes later, and Stan's back, carrying a large cardboard box in both hands. You see him fumble with the handle of the rear left door for a moment before you reach back over the seat and pop it open for him. A peek in the box reveals a few various shades of furry somethings and an animal skull you don't recognize. This doesn't seem like something worth busting out all your darkest duds for. We aren't by any chance robbing a bank, are we? Because I would have brought gloves. Stan laughs. No, nothing like that. He starts the car up again and you're back on the road. Somehow, I'm not quite convinced. Well, who knows where the night's gonna take us? Could be legal, could be not. That a problem? That's a weird option. Can we swing by a jeweler? I need a new watch. It's like, actually, yeah, doing something illegal is a problem, but I know that he's likely just joking. So I think I'm gonna go with nope. Just to kind of like, you know, have that playful banter and not be a little bit of a stick in the mud there. When in Rome, right? Stan takes the highway. The final minutes of the sunset's burnt orange and purple ahead of you, while the welcome sign for Gravity Falls disappears into the rearview mirror. A new song comes on the radio, something bright and bouncy with lyrics about love, and his fingers get back to tapping. In the retreating light, you can see faded patches on the rim of the steering wheel, the color worn away from decades worth of his touch. The passenger seat you sit in hasn't yet taken on the shape of someone specific. Even after all this time, the springs still feel brand new. Meanwhile, on the driver's side of the car, Stan settled easily into his seat, which fits him as well as a finely tailored jacket. You tuck your leg up under its mate, leaning back into the dark leather of the DeVille's interior, and you watch the cars pass and recede out the windshield. I don't remember specifically if he ever mentions what what type of car he has in the show, but I do find it amusing that Gravity Falls and all the weirdness in it. He's basically riding a devil. So I'm not sure if that's a choice just for this, but I think it's a little bit of a clever choice. After a few minutes of music-backed silence, you feel like breaking in. I think that Stan would appreciate a joke. And I also kind of want to see what joke they write for this. Why do chicken coops have two doors? Why are there fences around graveyards? My granddad had the heart of a lion. Let's do why are there fences around graveyards? Because I feel like the punchline for that is going to be absolutely terrible. And again, that might be something that Stan appreciates. Stan glances over at you, double-checking that this is the setup to a joke. I don't know. Why? Because people are dying to get in. Stan laughs. Ah, that's pretty good. He thinks for a minute, presumably to come up with a joke of his own. All right. A blonde walks into a bank in New York City. Oh no, this isn't going to be one of those awful dumb blondes or dumb jokes, is it? He levels a withering look at you. Oh, it was so withering that the game was just like, no, I'm so sorry. Like I am embarrassed. I have ruined this car ride. This is now awkward and I am leaving. Okay, let's bring it back again. Yeah, he was just like, enough of this shit. Okay. We said no. We told a joke. We did the graveyard one. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I hope that you enjoyed what you saw. It's honestly, it's a little bit better than I expected. But yeah, I hope that you have a good Friday and a good weekend. I will see you later. Bye-bye. I'm gonna save again. There. Can I tell the joke? I don't know, can you? You grin with your lower lip caught between your teeth, clearly joking, and he chuckles. Anyway, Blonde walks into a bank in New York. She goes up to the bank manager and she says, "I'd like to take out a loan for $5,000. I'm taking a vacation overseas." A car passes you on the highway going 20 over the speed limit, and Stan swears and then stifles it. Yeesh, night drivers. So the bank manager goes, "Well, miss, do you have collateral? We'll need collateral for that kind of loan." And she nods and she says she does, and she takes the bank manager out to the parking lot where she's got a $50,000 Ferrari waiting, and she says, "This is my car. You can hold on to it until I pay back my loan." Stan continues, glancing over at you and trying to suppress a smile. The bank manager's confused, but he figures if this lady doesn't pay, he's going to have a nice new Ferrari in his garage, so he agrees. A sign for an exit ahead points off to the right, and the text reading, "County Road 328, and Stan takes it off the highway. So he gives the blonde her 5 Gs, and she hands him the keys to her car, and she heads off to Europe. A month later, she shows back up at the bank with her 5 Gs and the interest for the loan, which figures out to about $15. Stan continues, turning down an unlit gravel road, the headlights casting spooky shadows through the trees. The bank manager takes the repayment for the loan and the interest and has one of his employees bring the car out in front of the bank for the blonde. Out ahead on the road, a deer turns its face to the car and then leaps across the road to disappear in the woods. Just before she leaves, the bank manager stops the blonde and says, "Lady, I'm real confused here. You're clearly loaded enough to afford this car, and you pay back the loan and then some. So why take out the loan if you're so rich?" I know this one. I've heard this joke before. And the lady turns to him, runs a hand through her hair, and says, "Where else can I park my car in New York City for 2 weeks for only $15? I'd say, it's not bad. Shit's expensive. We'll say it's funny. You burst into wild laughter, and he laughs along with you. I mean, it's not that funny, but... Alright, I take it back. That was the best blonde joke I've heard in my life. Just as you finish speaking, Stan pulls off the side of the road and the engine dies. As you step out of the car, the unearthly silence of the woods envelops the two of you. Out in the woods ahead, you see a single bright light. Is this the place? Just about. You follow him towards the trunk, which he opens quietly and slowly, frowning as it squeaks. What are we doing here? You, might not guess it looking at me, but, I got a thing. The two of you stare at each other for a moment, and he looks a little nervous. For art. Let's say that's pretty cool. He brightens, smiling in the dim haze of the trunk light. Well, this jump up this hill here has won by this artist, Gustav Klaneg. Snuck it right out from under me at an auction. I've been trying to buy it off him for years, but the jerk won't sell no matter how much I offer him. And trust me, you meet this guy, you know it's out of spite. So we're stealing it? You got it, kid. Well, I don't know how okay I am with this, actually. But let's not tank the... I think that'll be bad for, like, his path. And honestly, frankly, I am surprised he hasn't done it sooner. Stan laughs quietly, fishing around in the duffel bag for you don't know what. Wait till you see it. It's a masterpiece. I've been waiting 6 months for him to go out of town. Here, take these. He pulls a pair of gloves out from the bag, handing them to you. When you slide them on, they fit almost perfectly. I guess your size right? You nod, wiggling your fingers. Stan chuckles, pulling on a pair of his own, a set of black leather driving gloves with silver snap closures that glint in the light from the truck. You ready, kid? As I'll ever be. Stan tucks a few things into the inner pockets of his jacket that you can't see in the low light, and with the trunk shut just as quietly as it was opened, you follow him up into the woods towards the distant light. As you near it, a porch takes shape within the light's glow. Behind it, the dark shape of a house sits in the ever darker woods. Stan leads you past the front porch and around the corner of the house to a set of stairs that appears to lead into a basement. Ah, this is my favorite part. He withdraws a small black shape from his pocket and something that looks like it might be a pen. The pen-shaped thing turns out to be a small flashlight. As he holds it in his teeth as he opens the black case to reveal a set of lock-picking tools. You're a lucky person, kid. You get to see the artist in action. He gets to work inserting one of the tools and wiggling it down in the bottom of the keyhole, and then pulling out another and poking at the innards of the lock with it. You glance around in the darkness as he works, half expecting it to get caught before you get anywhere, but then the lock clicks and Stan stands, opening the door for you with a flourish. That was a lot quicker than I expected. He beams with pride, and you smile politely as you step through the door in front of him. The basement is unlit. It smells like dust and mildew, the air sour with wet dirt and mold. Stan moves past you into the dark, his little pen flashlight still lit, and leads you through a cobwebby laundry room and towards a door across from the bottom of a set of rickety wooden stairs. Wait till you see this, kid. He picks the lock of this door just as quickly as he picked it the last, and the door creaks open into a dark room with odd flooring barely lit by Stan's flashlight. Stan goes first, and as you follow him, he hits a light switch, revealing a beautifully designed gallery with plush scarlet carpets and gleaming wood paneling full of paintings of sad clowns. I wonder if this is little Gideon's dad, because he also was into clown paintings. We're just gonna give it a quick save. Stan looks more excited than you've seen him yet, his arms crossed over his chest and a warm smile on his face. Can you believe that hillbilly chump has a collection like this? You shake your head slowly, still looking around the room with wide eyes. Someday all of these are going to be mine. Come on, I'll show you to the one we're here to get. You follow him back to the back of the room, and he stops in front of a large painting of a clown with bright red lips and blue circles on his cheeks, his eyes outlined in black with comically large eyelashes painted onto his eyelids. His neck ruff droops sadly, and his costume is dingy and worn. What do you think? I gotta be honest, that does not sound great. A kind of niche thing, sure. Well, let's get this thing off the wall and out of here. As he works to get the clown egg down off the wall, you wander the room looking at the other paintings. As you look over a portrait of a mime with dirt on his white and black striped shirt, you're suddenly grabbed by your shoulders. Boo! Ah! You scream, eyes shut in fear as you throw a weak karate chop at the source of the noise, making unimpressive contact with something solid and muscular. After a moment's panic, you squeeze whatever the thing is with your hands and open your eyes, finding... Ha! Was that supposed to hurt me? Stan's arm and shoulder. boy, he's really packing some heat in there. Wow. He laughs, apparently very pleased with himself for scaring the absolute life out of you. You need those boxing tips even more than I thought. You couldn't defend yourself from a fly with moves like that. You laugh shakily, and then you realize you're still feeling up Stan's arm. Sorry about that. You pull your hands away a bit too fast, and he chuckles, blushing all the way up to his ears. No problem, kid. He clears his throat, and the silence between you begins to grow awkward before it's interrupted. Upstairs, in what's supposed to be an empty house, you hear footsteps crossing towards the door to the basement. Stan apparently hears them too, a sudden series of expressions crossing his face from shock to confusion to terror, and finally settling on indignation. He quickly takes you by the arm, whispering harshly in your ear as he drags you towards the entrance of the clown room. As soon as he comes in here, shut the door and I'll shove these boxes in front. You nod, and just as the line of light from the top of the stairs blooms into a wide swath, you and Stan duck behind a wall near the door to freedom, one corner of the stolen painting poking you uncomfortably in the ribs. Who's down there? Slippered feet come down on the wooden steps ahead of you, and when their owner notices the light on, he holds something long and gun-shaped out in front of himself. Pines, if that's you, I swear to God, I'm really gonna shoot you this time. Gun-shaped? Gun-shaped? Gun? Gun. Stan nudges you, jabbing a thumb towards the door leading outside, and jerks his head towards it. You take a step out from behind the wall, and take Stan's hand in your own, and pull him into a jog, and then a run, the two of you scrambling up the concrete steps out into the cool night air as a voice shouts swears behind you. Stan kicks the door shut on his way out, and there's a startled yelp behind you as it makes contact with the owner of the house. There's more swearing, but you lose it behind you as you run, flashlight in one hand and Stan's hand in the other. When you reach the tree line, you part and maneuver your way through the bushes and brambles, Stan crashing through them behind you. As you run, a deafening gunshot goes off behind you, and you realize that you're being chased. Holy smokes! Run for it, Trollymog! The noises get closer, close enough that you can hear your pursuer swearing continually and loudly. You slow for a bit, flashing your light behind you and raising the beam to find the distant but visibly enraged face of a man with a rifle in his hands. Acting on pure instinct, you fling the flashlight in the direction of the angry man and take off running again. After a moment, the man cries out and the sounds of pursuit fade with one final cry. Damn you, Pines! Stan cackles. Sounds like you hit him. You reach the Stanmobile first, sliding into the passenger seat as Stan slips his new clown egg back into the back seat before joining you in the front. Both of you panting and huffing. Stan hurriedly starts the engine and pulls out. At the next driveway, he does the fastest three-point turn you've ever seen in your life, and then peels off down the gravel road and screeches out onto the highway. Stan's quiet for a second before letting loose into wild, triumphant laughter. I thought he was gonna catch me that time for sure. Did a man just shoot at us? Stan nods, still chuckling and apparently pretty pleased he didn't get hit. He lets out a long, loud sigh, his white-knuckled hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Yeah, that was... Holy moly. You okay, Trollymog? So the options are a little shaky, but I'm good. I'll let you know when I find out, and I think I want to head back now. That was a lot. I think I would say I'll let you know when I find out. He pulls back onto the highway, back in the direction you came from, and you lapse into comfortable silence. After a while, he starts humming along with the radio, and, knowing the song this time, you hum along with him. Gravity Falls' welcome sign passes by again, but the route Stan's taking doesn't seem to lead back to the shack. Instead, you come to a stop outside rows and rows of used cars. A car dealership. Stan slides out of the car, withdrawing something from his pocket within the breast of his jacket. Once you get out and around the front bumper, you can see that it's a cigar. You mind if I smoke? general, if it's outdoors, and people aren't like right up in my grill, outside is the place for if you are a smoker to smoke, so you can go ahead. Thanks. I don't like smoking around kids, you know? I'm already a bad enough influence. He chuckles and withdraws a pack of matches from his pocket, and his face is bathed in the light of the flame. From your place a ways down the road, Stan surveys the lot, eyes sweeping back and forth until they land on what looks to be a fuse box under the dark overhang of the roof on the far side of the dealership. What are we getting? New drive belts, some spark plugs, a couple other things I can't remember the name of and aren't worth explaining. It won't take all night though, right? He shakes his head, taking a long drag from the cigar, smoke rolling off his lips and into the night. You lean back against the front bumper of the car next to him and stuff your hands in your pockets. There isn't much light pollution around here, so the stars are bright and numerous above. Provided your car gets fixed up, this might not turn out to be such a bad trip. You take a deep breath in through your nose, the smell of sweet, heady cigar smoke and crisp night air filling your lungs. So how are we doing this? We gotta get rid of the lights. I doubt Bud's clever enough to have night vision cameras. He laughs as he speaks, a little as he speaks, smoke blowing out into the night with each individual laugh. But we cut the power to the whole place and the cameras are going to be gone anyway. So we cut the power, find a car that's the same make and model as yours, and I dig out the parts your car needs. An hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. I can get the lights. Stan turns his head and looks at you, waving away a fresh cloud of smoke as he accidentally exhales in your direction. You sure? Yeah, I got it. The two of you stand there in silence for a few more minutes before he bends down and grinds his cigar cold on the asphalt, straightening with a groan and a huff of quiet laughter. Yeesh. Starting to remember why I quit doing this kind of thing. You sure you're alright with this kid? You know, robbing the place? You don't think I can do it? No, that's not it. You've been keeping up with me just fine all night. You just don't seem like you got a lot of experience here. I think I've gotten plenty of experience tonight alone. He smiles, a warm and genuine expression that ignites something fuzzy and soft inside of you. You don't notice you're staring until he turns away and moves away towards the trunk. He reaches into the car and pulls a lever under the driver's side of the front seat, and the trunk pops open. You follow him to it, and after rummaging around in the contents for a minute, he brings out a pair of pliers. All right, you go over there and take care of the lights. I got a few things to get together. You crouch down behind the fence when you reach the lot, and scrambling along in the shadows until you reach the dealership's main building. With a peek over the edge, you see that the wall of the building is cast in shadow from a poorly placed streetlight. Another peek, and you spot a car the same make as yours off to the back of the lot, near a sign that says Discount Section, Big Deals. It takes an embarrassing amount of effort to get over the fence, but you manage it and press yourself flat against the wall, inching towards the fuse box. It's locked, but you pry it open with the pliers and look over what's inside. A bunch of switches, some wires. And sorry to go on break again so quickly, but I have something I need to take care of. I will be back in just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back now. So let's get back to Swooning Over Stans. It's locked, but you pry it open with the pliers and look over what's inside. A bunch of switches, some wires. I feel like it's either going to be the biggest switch or we rip some wires out. But let's try flipping the biggest switch. With your face pinched in concentration, you push the biggest switch in the opposite direction, and the entire property goes dark. You slip the tools out of your back pocket and take a look around just to make sure the power's out. With a satisfied nod, you feel your way out into the parking lot, knocking your shins on 3 separate cars before you figure out you should probably just stop and wait for Stan. Where you at, kid? His voice isn't far away, but he isn't close either. You feel your way around an SUV and then a sedan? The gravel in the parking lot crunches under your feet, and you reflexively stare down at the ground ahead of you as your eyes slowly adjust to the darkness. Out ahead of you, a flashlight turns on and scans the lot until it finds you. Found ya. He sounds amused, probably at the way you're standing with your arms spread wide over a sleek, modern sports car. Getting familiar with the merchandise, yeah? You give the car an awkward pat and make your way towards the beginning of the flashlight's beam. You see anything the same make as yours before before you shut off the lights? Yeah, there's one in the back in the discount section. It's kind of insulting now that you think about it, actually. He hands you the flashlight when you reach him, and so you start slowly back towards the discount cars. Discount. Your car it's a classic. It's usually extremely reliable. To be perfectly honest, it's not even your fault that it's in the state that it's in. It was Ford and his... whatever it is. You're deep in salty thoughts when his hands suddenly grip your ribs on either side. Gotcha. Ah! You scream and throw back an elbow at whatever's got a hold of you, and you hear Stan yelp and fall in a clatter of kicked gravel and metal clanking together. He scared you again. I think that being proud of my martial prowess will go over with Stan better than telling him he's not being funny. Holy smokes, kid. You turn the flashlight to where you heard him fall, and you find him with a hand cupped over his face, blood dribbling out from between his gloved fingers. Yeah, I deserved that one. Oh shit, I'm really sorry. Nah, it'll be alright. Just help me up. You tuck the still-lit flashlight into your back pocket for a moment, reaching down and finding his hands in the dark to pull him up. Once he's on his feet, you retrieve the flashlight from your pocket. As you bring the beam to Stan's face, you find him holding a handkerchief over his nose and squinting. He's apparently brought a backpack with him, and it's sitting on the ground behind him where he presumably dropped it when you elbowed him. You know, that was a really solid hit. You got a lot of power in there. I don't know if you were just saying it to be nice earlier, but I really could show you some moves. Teach you how to direct that strength. I feel like he's being really sincere right now, so I'm gonna say, yeah, that sounds fun. He removes the hanky from his nose for a moment, gently prodding at the bridge of his nose with a finger, and frowns. Well, it's not broken, that's for sure. That's good. He laughs quietly, taking a clean corner of the handkerchief and dabbing at his nose with it, grimacing and sniffling hard when it comes back still clean. Good to go. Are you sure you're all right? Yeah, of course. I've gotten worse beatings than that, believe me. His face is flushed from the sudden injury, but he does look otherwise okay, so you sigh and plant your hands on your hips. Then let's finish this. He reaches out towards you, then catches a glimpse of the blood and reconsiders, wiping his gloves as clean as he can with the hanky. When you reach the car you spotted earlier, he pops the hood and drops his pack on the ground next to the bumper, unzipping it to reveal a jumble of various wrenches and tools. All right, hold the flashlight steady on the engine and keep an eye out. We are going to keep a lookout like he told us to, because that is an important thing to do rather than mooning over someone right now. It doesn't take long for him to get what he needs for your car, shutting the hood and setting his pack on it as he stuffs parts into it. That was quick. Nah, the parts you needed are easy to find. Just takes the right... Hey, what's going on over there? That you, bud? The beam of a flashlight finds you both, and Stan turns around quickly, leaving the bag behind himself on the hood. Yeah? Pines? What the heck happened to your face? And what are you doing here at... Hey, are you stealing parts again? No. Stan inches closer to you until your shoulders touch, and behind you he pushes the bag into your hands before lowering his voice to speak to you. Run for it. Keep the bag out of sight and toss it into some bushes nearby. I'll get it later. You nod, picking up the bag and holding it behind yourself. The flashlight by the road moves closer, and you slowly scoot away from the car and backwards. Hey you! Where are you going? You move backwards a little faster, still keeping the bag out of sight. And when the light leaves you to check on Stan, you make a break for it towards the back fence, throwing the bag over it ahead of you. A new voice nearby speaks up and you yelp. Hey, where are you going, burglar? You're under arrest for burglary. There's a shout from Stan behind you and then a heavy thud, and one of the car's alarms starts squealing. You're so surprised by the alarm that the second cop gets his hand around your wrists and slaps a pair of handcuffs on you. You better quit your squirming there, buddy. We caught you fair and square. Ah, come on, Blubs. I saved the town from an interdimensional demon. Give me a break. Sorry, Stan. It's a job we gotta do. Stan grumbles quietly, and the man behind you leads you towards the road behind Stan and Blubs, who's now got him in cuffs. You need to get out of this. But how? I feel like going for the cop's gun is an escalation that is not necessarily a great one, so let's try to grab something off his belt that's a little less dangerous. You close the space between you and the cop behind you. Once something moves between your fingers and you grab it, bringing back... Well, you're not sure what it is, but it feels like it's cold and metal, so you slip it into your back pocket. We are going to save right now as well. Aw, shoot, Durland, we don't have the cruiser. Me and my ideas for romantic strolls in the moonlight. Well, why don't we just Commander Stan's car? Do you mean commandeer? I don't know. Edmund Durland, you are an absolute delight, and I cherish having you as my life partner. Durland giggles behind you, and Blubs giggles with him. The two of them push you and Stan into the back seat of his car, crowding you in with the clown egg. Stan grips it protectively, muttering under his breath about the fuzz. He's quiet for most of the ride, only speaking up once. You okay, Trolley Mug? Yeah. I mean, I'm okay as I can be since I've been arrested. Oh, I hurt his feelings. He stays silent after you respond and stays that way all the way back to the station. Inside the station, Durland leads you to a pair of chairs by a desk, and Blubs disappears down a hallway. Blubs is back after a few minutes, a deep frown set in his face, and after directing this frown at Durland, he takes you and Stan down another hallway to a set of cells. At first, he withdraws a set of keys and opens the door. You and Stan are uncuffed with a solid and somewhat alarming clang, and the cell door shuts and locks. You two better get comfortable. We'll get your prints in the morning. Stan grumbles, settling down onto one of the provided bunk beds, and you sit down on the one next to it facing him. He peels off his gloves, tucking them inside out into his pocket, and fiddles with a loose thread on the thin wool blanket of the bunk bed. Through the door to the end of the hallway, you hear Durland say something about fancy black finger paints to Blubs. Here in the bright fluorescent lights, you can see that he still has a bit of blood smeared under his nose and on his chin, and you feel a flush of embarrassment when you remember that you're the one who did that to him. I can't wait to see how everyone back home reacts when they find out I've been arrested. Well, this is not so great. Are we really in jail right now? Am I having some kind of weird nightmare? I feel like the first one... How are we going to get out of here? Stan shrugs, crossing his arms over his chest and flopping back onto the mattress. Don't think we can, kid. I'll see if I can convince them that you got hypnotized or something into coming along with me. Keep you out of trouble. Listen, if you're going down for this, then so am I. He laughs quietly, propping himself up on his elbows. You don't want to get in a lot of trouble with the law, kid. Trust me. This isn't my first time spending the night in jail. Not by a long shot. Sounds rough. Yeah, well, so it goes. This won't be so bad compared to 5 years in a Colombian prison. There's a story behind that, but he doesn't look like he wants to tell it at the moment. Anyway, the only way we're getting out of here is with the keys. Then we could just slip out a window or something. You think for a moment, stuffing your hands into your pockets and suddenly remembering the thing you grabbed off the second cop, Derland. Oh, wait. You jump to your feet and dig into your back pocket, withdrawing the small metal thing that you stole to find that it's a set of car keys on a plastic keepsake photo fob. Stan's not looking, staring down at the floor of the cell instead, but you think you know what to do with these. You go up to the bars of the cell looking for Derland. Hey, can you hear me out there? You dropped your car keys. The faint discussion in the other room stops, and a moment later Derland comes into view. Where'd you get my keepsake key fob? I've been looking for that. You hold it out through the bars with both hands. As he reaches for the key fob, you reach out to his belt with your right hand and unclip the ring of keys from his belt. He doesn't notice. Derland thanks you for returning his key fob and gives both you and Stan a scrutinizing stare before heading back down the hallway and through the door. You hold the keys out in front of yourself and then jingle them triumphantly. Look what I got off Derland. Stan stares at you in disbelief. Stan stares at your hand in disbelief, and then at you, and then at the keys, and then back at you again before laughing incredulously. Are you sure you don't have experience with this kind of thing? Stan takes the keys from you, looking them over in his palm. He smiles up at you, and then looks down at the keys and covers his mouth with his hand, dragging it down over his chin. I can't believe I've been shown up by a tourist. Well, get used to it, buddy, because I got skills. He looks proud, smiling up at you like you just handed him $1 million. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get the heck out of here. He stands as you reach through the bars and try the keys until one of them works. The door swings open with a quiet creak, and you creep out down the hallway to the door. You open it a crack, looking out into the lobby, and see Blubs asleep at the front desk, Derland not in sight. Slowly you pull the door open and move into the lobby. Stan taps your shoulder and whispers low. We gotta get my keys. Do you see them anywhere? You glance around and spot them next to where Blubs is asleep, drool pooling on the table. Shoot. Crossing your fingers for luck, you sneak over to the desk and reach down to grab them, when suddenly Blubs stirs and mumbles. Dang, Bigfoot, stealing my shoes, stretching all my shoes. Stan snorts behind you, and you manage to suppress a laugh as you pluck the keys away. Wait, hold on. Stan disappears into another room, and you're stunned, wondering what the hell he could be doing right now that's more important than escaping. Before you have a chance to call him something you might regret later, he reappears in the doorway with the troublesome clown painting under his arm. Seriously? Duh. All right, let's roll. I can't necessarily say that I blame him, because if you don't get it, then all of this was for nothing. Slipping out with only a click of the station door closing behind you, you and Stan climb into his car and escape into the night. After stopping by Bud's dealership to pick up the hidden backpack, you and your partner in crime head back to the shack in comfortable silence. You'd feel tired if it wasn't for the adrenaline. You carry the backpack inside while Stan brings in the clownegg and briefcase, setting both on the kitchen table. I'd call that a successful night. Even though we got arrested, so would I. And fun, too. You grin over at him and realize, in the bright kitchen light, that he's still got blood on his face. How do you keep forgetting? You're the one that elbowed him, after all. You've got... Well, come here. You pull one of the chairs out from under the table, gesturing for him to sit down. Now we have, like, the handsome picture, you know? Like, we get the special image for the dating sim for this scenario. He looks a little wary, but obeys, the chair's ancient metal frame creaking under his weight. You grab a couple of paper towels, turning on the faucet in the sink and wetting them. Let's clean him up. Let's go for full dating sim bullshit. Mentally steadying yourself, you hold the side of his face and neck in your hand. With gentle pressure, you guide his head to tilt back until he's lit up fully by the overhead light. You can feel him blush under your hand, his skin heating up, and he seems too surprised to protest or even speak as you wipe the now dried blood from his face. He's quiet while you work, watching you with warm brown eyes rimmed by dark lashes. I could have taken care of this myself, you know. It's just the voice and like hearing it in my head while seeing this interpretation of him is, this game is great. This is hilarious. He says this, but he hasn't pulled away or made any move to leave. I did the damage. The least I could do is clean up after myself. Anyways, you've done plenty as it is. The paper towels you have become too soiled to work with, so you toss them into the trash and go back to get a few more. Your hand returns to his cheek, and you could be imagining things, but it almost feels like he leans into it. I really did have a good time with you tonight. I had no idea crime could be so much fun. He smirks, avoiding your gaze. I had a good time too. You pause for a moment, realizing something. Those cops aren't going to come after us, are they? Stan shrugs. Probably not. They're nice enough guys, but not exactly competent. You laugh quietly and he smirks up at you. You stand back to make sure you're finished and toss the last paper towels into the trash. You're sure it's not broken? Nah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Your hand lingers on his cheek. I feel like, you know, the wistfulness of the hand on the cheek, we should just say goodnight and go to bed, rather than an awkward hug. Well, good night. Sleep tight, trolley mug. You brush your teeth and change into your pajamas, and it's not until you get into bed that you realize you're still smiling. The rush from it all hasn't completely faded, but after a while, your eyes grow heavy and you drift off to sleep. Nobody back home is ever going to believe this. Yeah, we've increased the love meter with Grunkle Stan. Call the caterers, I hear wedding bells. Huh, it looks like this is actually working out. Someone thumps their fist on the storage room door, stirring you from sleep with a jolt and a thud as you fall off the mattress. Scrambling to your feet, you step over to the door and swing it wide open. Trollymog, I need your help! It's at that moment that you look down to see Waddles swaddled in her arm, wearing a top hat and a small bow tie. Why is Waddles looking so dapper? He does look pretty dashing, doesn't he? Wait, we're not here to dish out compliments. There's an emergency. A love emergency. Mabel stares up at you with wide eyes, her little arms unmoving as Waddles attempts to wriggle free from her grasp. The kid's stronger than she looks. Knowing Mabel, this could mean that she has a new crush. From what Dipper's told you, she's still deeply rooted in her boy-crazy phase. Or she desperately wants to wed Waddles to some unsuspecting critter outside. Waddles and Gompers are renewing their vows today, and I can't find Gompers to put his gown on. You gotta help me find him. You weren't actually expecting your second guess to be right. Okay, wait, Mabel, just calm down for a second. But we have to find Gompers. The ceremony's in 20 minutes. Waddles wriggles himself free and runs down the hallway to freedom, ignoring Mabel's shriek of protest as she chases him. You're compelled to go back to bed, deciding that this is almost definitely a dream, but jog after Mabel regardless. Oh, glad I saved. There we go. Load. We can't skip either. There we go. You catch sight of Mabel just as she leaps over Dipper, who's sitting on the floor with a large array of graph paper and chewed pencils. She runs to the back door, suspiciously open. Oh, sorry, just double checking something. Okay. suspiciously open after Waddles' snorting self, yelling at him not to lose his tie. What? Mabel, what's going on? Waddles? Wedding? Gompers? You're a little out of breath. Mabel's fast. Dipper smacks a hand to his forehead, dragging it down his face dramatically. Of course. She told me that they're renewing their vows or something. They got married last summer, but she misses the pizzazz of weddings. Dipper looked nonplussed, but you can tell that he's at least a little invested. Are you going to help her with whatever that was? Yeah, I don't even want to imagine this marriage failing. Like, Waddles deserves the best. And with that, you run past him, Dipper's stutters of surprise growing fainter as you head outside. Mabel's already a ways away when you burst out into the shack's backyard. Fortunately, Stan and Ford are nowhere in sight. You're not sure what you'd think of them finding you searching for a goat bride as Mabel calls out to lure Gompers home. Come on, Gompers, I already booked the second honeymoon and the caterers are going to be mad. Runaway brides are so cliché. She's seriously invested in this farm critter marriage. That or she's watched way too many dramatic romance movies. Or both. Gompers, come on, goat pal, where are you? You hear Dipper head towards Mabel to help her look, so you veer opposite, opting to cover more ground in search of the runaway goat bride. Where should you look? I feel like Gompers would be possibly on the roof. You walk backwards and put a hand to your brow, shielding your eyes from the sun as you search the scaffolding of the shack. Nothing. You continue walking to the side now, until rays of sunlight obscure the view above the sign for the gift shop. Rather serendipitously, a cloud glides overhead to block the sun and you're able to look up higher, seeing the misspelled lettering, the various wear and tear in the roof, and a small billy goat munching on part of the weather vane. Wait. Hey, Mabel. Yeah? You point up to the roof at Gompers. Here comes the bride. Mabel shrieks, Gompers! And sprints into the gift shop, slamming the door so hard that the open sign flips to closed. There's silence for a moment, and then something flips open on the roof's small balcony, and Mabel pops out from underneath, climbing up onto the roof and attempting to coax Gompers down. There's a ladder up to that little balcony thing inside the gift shop. It's pretty cool for fireworks. Mabel pulls a sandwich from her sleeve. You can't help but imagine what else she has up there. And waves it in Gompers' direction, and he trots towards the balcony, hopping down to Mabel's level and snatching the sandwich from her hand. She grabs the goat and heads back down the ladder into the gift shop. Oh, Gompers, you can't get the pre-wedding jitters anymore. You're already married. You can't get away that easy. Thanks a billion, Trolley Mog. You saved the wedding. And with that, Mabel gets to work on wrestling Gompers into his dress, yelling commands to Dipper to grab Waddles, who thankfully didn't get his bow tie dirty when he dashed away earlier, and get everything ready for the most important ceremony in the history of ever. Maybe an exaggeration, but Mabel's excitement is undoubtedly contagious. Okay, once Dip finds Waddles, I think we got everything ready. I am, of course, the vicar, caterer, proud mother, musical guest combo. Dipper is going to take pictures for my scrapbook. Hey, I never agreed to that. Dipper, please. I gotta officiate. You mean officiate? See, I'm so busy I can't even talk right. Please, Dipper, I'll help you with some nerd thing later. I pinky swear. Dipper contemplates this, hand at his chin, mirroring his grunkle Ford, of course. As long as you actually do this time, then yeah, I'll take the pictures. Mabel jumps up and down with excitement, jostling poor Gompers in her arms. Yay! Thank you, Dipper, I owe you one. This is what the best brother looks like right here, Trolley Mog. Okay, you don't have to do that whole thing again. I'll get back to... Waddles, you get back here. Okay, now that we have that fixed, that means that we have... Wait! Seuss left already. My ring bearer's gone. Oh no, what are we gonna do, Gompers? Gompers gives the intelligent answer of "Bah," while chewing on his bridal veil. I could ask her, but I don't know. Gompers chooses that moment to look into Mabel's eyes and bleat at her insistently. Mabel naturally takes that as a sign from a goat. You're right. Of course, this is your special day. Again. Mabel turns to you with pleading eyes. Hey, Trollymug, could you be the new ring bearer for the ceremony? For Waddles, I will do anything, so it would give me no greater honor. I'm very invested in this partnership, Mabel. I gotta see it through. Mabel beams, obviously very pleased that you're taking this as seriously as she is. Thank you, Trollymug. Let's get this show on the road. Or this wedding on the backyard. It still works. Mabel runs back into the house and you hear her thudding upstairs faster than a hungry Waddles. Gompers, thankfully still occupied by the half a sandwich that Mabel taunted him with, stays put. She comes back soon after with a fluffy purple pillow and 2 clear sticks. After snapping the sticks in half, glow sticks. They're glow sticks. She curls them into small bracelet-sized rings. These are so much more fun than rings. Plus, Waddles can put it on his tail so he looks super handsome. Waddles oinks in agreement. In his mad dash out of the house, he's lost his top hat. Hold your hands out, palm up, and get down so you're not as tall. They can't put rings on each other if you're way up here. She's got a point. You duck down to your knees in the dirt, and Mabel turns your hands palm up, reverently placing the pillow and the glow sticks atop them. Okay, Mabel, I'm here with the camera for... Trollymug, why are you on the ground? You gesture to the happy couple with a wide arc of your arm. They need a ring bearer. Well, I guess they do. Mabel nods, small hands on her hips. She looks over the wedding scene and mumbles to herself, checking things off a mental checklist. Okay, I think we have... Wait. I forgot the flower petals. I'll be right back. And she's gone again, leaving you alone with a pig groom, a goat bride, and 2 glow stick bands of matrimony. Goatrimony. That kind of works. You decide not to crack that pun on Dipper, who's examining his disposable camera. He pops the back open and sighs, smacking a hand to his forehead. This one's out of film. It must be the one Mabel used at Candy's party. He looks up at you and shrugs. I'll go get one of my spares. Make sure that these 2 don't go anywhere or Mabel will... Well, you know Mabel. You haven't known Mabel as long as Dipper has, but you understand immediately. You're left alone in the backyard with a groom's pig, a bride goat, 2 glow sticks, and a broken disposable camera. While you'd love to say that you've absolutely been in this situation before, you unfortunately have not. I really am happy for both of you, Waddles and Gompers. Both animals turn to you, nonchalant to the current state of events. But I can't believe Mabel forgot the flower petals. Jeez. Just as you go on to continue the one-sided conversation between human, goat, and pig, you hear 2 voices coming around from the house. 2 very familiar voices. Listen, Sixer, if you hadn't gone off about the wobbly junker, the gobble wonker, Stanley, has Dipper really never told you? Then you wouldn't have freaked out at the kid at the store when we needed... At the store we needed, and we'd have, oh, I don't know, the stuff to fix my house after you got a car stuck in it. It's still my house, and besides, if he was a fisherman, he needed to know... Did the game freeze again? Oh my god. Okay, we are pro at this now. We will force quit. And relaunch. And set this back up again. And load the game again. And skip. Let's get caught back up to where we were. Oh, it's been a while since I saved. There we go. And so we're going to save right now, just so that way we can lock in where we are there. And let me see here. I see a couple of lurkers hanging out, and so I just wanted to say hello and welcome. I hope that you're enjoying the game so far. If you missed any of like the intro, I am Trollymog, a new variety streamer. Today is my 10th day streaming. I stream Monday to Fridays, 8 a.m. to noon, and I mostly play indie games, horror games, Metroidvanias, roguelikes, and roguelites, maybe some rhythm games, and I'm just going to start doing visual novel Fridays. So I'll be playing visual novels on Friday, just to have a bit of a laugh and something fun and different to do. If you are enjoying the content, a follow would really help. I'm on that affiliate grind, but don't, if you want to stay around a while longer, check out the content before, following, you're welcome to. You're welcome to talk and chat, but don't feel pressured. I lurk in a lot of channels. So let me just double check one last thing. Okay. Both Stan and Ford round the corner to find you sitting on your heels next to Waddles and Gompers, brandishing a pillow and glow sticks in the dirt. The three of you stare at each other in silence. Mabel needed a ring bearer for the wedding. It's at that moment that Mabel kicks down the back door, runs to your side, and throws rose petals atop your head. Ta-da! You blow a rose petal off the tip of your nose and grin at Mabel. I think our bride and groom are ready to renew their vows, don't you? Mabel nods emphatically at you before turning to her grunkles, lighting up a 100-watt smile. Yes, Grunkle Stan, Grunkle Ford, you guys got back just in time. And just like that, Mabel pushes Stan and Ford towards you and tugs their hands so that way they sit across from you. Stan complains about his knees, and Ford asks Dipper exactly why the pig and the goat are betrothed. It fits with what you know about both at this point. Mabel makes her way with the wedding, and you sit cross-legged, the pillow and glow stick rings on your lap. Every so often, Mabel stifles a theatrical sob, wiping a very real tear from her eye, before she turns to you for the rings. Oh, Mabel, how should the betrothed, wear the rings, since they don't have ring fingers? Just put them on where you think they fit best. So we could do on their heads like small glowy tiaras. We could do around one goat horn and Waddles' tail, or over each earring like over each ear like fun earrings. Personally, I would go with the glowy tiaras, but Mabel did mention Waddles' tail, so let's go with that one. You get up and promptly crouch down in front of Waddles and Gompers, playing your ring bearer part very seriously. A glow stick ring goes onto one of Gompers' horns, and you place the other on Waddles' rear, hanging off his curlicue tail. I now pronounce you husband and husband. Again. You may now kiss the goat. Waddles sniffs at Gompers and snorts. That definitely counts. Dipper reappears with a new camera, and Mabel throws more rose petals at him. A few get stuck to his fluffy hat, and he rolls his eyes, but retaliates by taking a very close-up picture, the flash temporarily blinding her. Hey, save the film for the renewedly weds. I need plenty of pictures for my scrapbook. You owe me a new camera for this, Mabel. He sounds annoyed, but his fond sibling smile gives him away, and he starts taking pictures of the happy couple, getting odd angles as Mabel pushes them into silly poses. You step away from the scene and go to head back to the house. Being a ring bearer is thirsty work, but Stan and Ford stop you before you make it to the door. Hey Trollymug, thanks for playing along with Mabel and the whole wedding thing. We're both glad you're willing to entertain her whenever we're gone. She, didn't make you do it, did she? Oh, she didn't. She needed a ring bearer, so I stepped up to help. Stan and Ford arch matching brows at you. I'm very invested in the marriage of a goat and a pig, you know. The three of you laugh, and Stan pats your shoulder. Ford gives you a warm smile. Well, I'm glad you're as into all that as she is. Thank you for that. Yeah, kid. It's nice of you to be, nice to her, you know? Stan clears his throat, awkwardly rubbing the back of his neck. Thanks. For playing with Mabel and her weird wedding thing. Looks like she likes you. It's not hard, but still. He gives you a genuinely grateful smile that you easily return. It's no problem, really. I'm happy to keep her and Dipper happy where I can. Stan nods at you, pink in the cheeks, before going past you and heading into the house. You swear you see Ford give him a funny look, but you could just be imagining it. Hey, Trolley Mog, you're gonna miss the party. We got popsicles. I call the red ones. Pineapple ones are mine. I call dibs. But the pineapple ones are the best ones. Mabel and Stan wrestle over a yellow popsicle while Dipper contentedly unwraps a red one, holding it above his head and out of Gompers' way. Ford gingerly picks out a purple ice pop and leaves the ice chest open for you to grab one as well. While Stan and Mabel aren't looking, you hide the pineapple popsicles at the bottom of the chest. Dipper sees and starts laughing, but he doesn't tell. They're a strange bunch, these two sets of Pines twins, but they certainly are making your summer a lot more exciting as your stay at the Mystery Shack continues, your wreck of a car sitting outside in the heat of the setting sun. It's another day of summer with nothing to do but wait. Your schedule is surprisingly clear today. Stan usually has something going on for you to help with, and if not, Ford, Zeus, or the kids do. We're just going to give it a little save there. Who do you want to find? Let's stick with Stan. This is going to end up being a Stan route. I don't know if I'm going to go back and play through on the Ford route, but let's stick with Stan for now. You pass through the living room, and Mabel spots you from her seat at the table. Trolley Mog, I was hoping I'd see you. Come on, I want to ask you something. Mabel points down at the table with a raspberry pink colored pencil. Her art supplies, scattered across the table, lie across various sheets of paper with brightly colored doodles, and lots of glitter. You see a drawing that looks like a cross between Barney and a Godzilla, a page full of puppies, and a page with a drawing that looks kind of like you with... Is that Ford or Stan? Mabel's not finished with it yet, but the telltale jawline gives it away. You sit down at the table across from Mabel and suddenly get the same feeling you'd get at a job interview. It's intensified when she pushes her organized chaos of papers aside and steeples her fingers over the surface of the table. Trolley Mog, I'll be frank. I've been trying to find a match for my grunkles for a while, but I never seem to get their matches made. Sorry, a match? But then it's like you were pulled from thin air, attracted to the shack by a magnet of love. It was a sign, and this week just made the chemistry you share with him obvious. You know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah, it's Stan. Exactly. Grunkle Stan says he's not looking for love anymore, but I think he says that after every rejection. He's a romantic deep down. I can feel it. And you know what they say, even if you're not looking for love, love will find you no matter what. Love? That's a jump, to say the least. Well, you've certainly had enough time to form your opinion of Stan, and it's shifted and changed with every additional minute. He's got his own fair share of mysteries, and damn it, you're curious. There's plenty of potential there. I can see it in your face. You know what would really get this chemistry going? Talking to him? What? No, I'm thinking something more romantic. Hold on, I'm getting an idea. I'll get everything ready, Trolley Mog. You just focus on falling completely and utterly in love. Matchmaker Mabel is back in the game. Just as you exit the talk with Mabel, you run into Dipper right outside the living room, and it doesn't seem like an accident either. His arms are crossed and he's looking at you dubiously. So, I heard about Mabel's plan. How do you... I just left the room. Yeah, well, word travels fast, and Mabel sends out mass update texts. His defensive posture softens a bit. Just tell me one thing. I know my grunkles can look after themselves, but can you promise me you won't hurt Grunkle Stan? He doesn't know me, and he's a very suspicious person in general, so I don't think you can trust Mabel go over very well, but he can trust Stan. Yeah, I know. I guess we're good then, for now. A text notification sounds and Dipper checks his phone. And be ready. tomorrow afternoon? For your lakeside date with Grunkle Stan? Ugh, this feels awkward enough. No offense, Trollymog. It's just, my Grunkle Stan actually going on a date? Do old people even date? It's kind of hard to wrap my head around. I hope Mabel doesn't ask me for my help tomorrow. I mean, I have enough trouble with trying to date for myself. Mabel calls down from upstairs. Hey, Dip-Dop, I'm gonna need your help tomorrow. Well, never mind. That night you head back to your room, ready to go to bed, but mentally still stuck on that interesting conversation earlier with Mabel. Mabel had already put her plan in motion over dinner. Turns out Stan had been planning to take the kids to the lake tomorrow to go fishing, and lucky you, Mabel managed to score you an invite. Waddles joins you, surprisingly, and you have some fun petting his belly and taking pictures as a distraction from your thoughts. It's almost like he knew something was up. Or did Mabel send him? Is he infiltrating your safety zone for intel? You decide not, laying back onto your mattress to try to relax. Waddles settles by your side, snuggling up. Thanks for the support, little buddy. Eventually, you get tired of your phone and decide to close your eyes, but you just can't stop thinking about what Mabel said. Stan, a romantic? Is that what Mabel said? Yeah, right, no way. Maybe charming in his own way, sure, but the type of guy to go on an actual date? Planned by Mabel? What was Mabel planning anyway? She might go for something fancy or formal, but Stan really seems in his element with the hands-on, nitty-gritty stuff. Hopefully calling it a date won't ruin the natural thing you have going. With your eyes finally closed for good, feeling weighed down and heavy. You give Waddles a pat while you still can, before slipping into unconsciousness. And the game crashed. Yet again. I had a feeling I should save there, but I didn't, like a fool. Okay. Let's load that back up again. And we can't skip. I should have saved. So just your patience, please, while I go through everything that we just went through. Okay, we're gonna save here. And keep going. There we go. We're just going to save again. There. And just give me 1 second for a big sip of tea. You slip out of a dream and back into your room in real life. The sky is light outside, and groggily, you feel regret as you realize Waddle's comforting weight isn't there anymore. Wait, that's not what you're regretting. You're regretting the end of what you feel like was a really good dream. Stan had taken you with him to the lake, you think, and somehow ended up in the water. Sunlight streamed down on him as he grinned at you, his white shirt sticking to wet skin. That'd be a date, all right, but it's the last thing you were expecting from today. Laughing quietly at yourself, you glance at the clock to see it's time to get ready for the day anyway. A little while later, and you're dressed for the day at the lake, meaning dressed for a regular day of summer. You're not sure what to expect, so you kept it casual. You would have eaten breakfast with Stan and the kids, but you were barred from the kitchen by Mabel, who was shielding you from a surprise. Instead, you were handed a slice of toast topped with an oddly cheerful sunny-side-up egg and waved outside. Now that you're out in the sunlight, you can see that Mabel stuck a smiley face sticker on top of the egg. You peel it off with a shrug and dig in. Leaning against the scarlet door of the El Diablo, you stare at the totem pole outside of the shack, thinking about how it both stands out and fits in perfectly with the shack's aesthetic. It's obviously part of the weirdness of the tourist shop, but you're not sure why. It looks pretty well made, even if it is kind of creepy that whenever you move the eyes at the top seem to follow you. Suddenly, the front door of the house bursts open, and a flurry of sequins and glittery hair clips flies out, attached to a very excited Mabel. Trollymog, are you ready? You're not spying any conspiratory nudges or winks, so you kind of think Mabel's dropped the whole date setup thing, at least for the moment. For what? Fishing? Yeah. Aren't you excited? This isn't just regular lake fishing. This is Gravity Falls fishing, where adventure awaits, danger is hot on your heels, and the islands shift and move in the corner of your eyes. I'm sorry, the what move? Are we talking about Scuttlebutt Island? I love telling that one. So we were out on the shore, right? And we saw this giant... Hey, you kids better not be giving Trollymog that lake monster story again. Stan comes out of the shack with several fishing rods in the crook of his arm, as well as a large tackle box in his right hand. In his other hand are 4 fishing hats with haphazard embroidery on the front of 2 of them. A closer look reveals that there are actually names stitched onto the hats, reading Mabel and Dippy. Grinkle Stan, you don't have to pretend not to believe us anymore. I swear it really happened. It just rose right out of the water and started chasing us. And we had to row back as fast as we could, and it was speaking in a creepy monster language, and... What did I say? No more of that monster talk or you're gonna scare Trollymog away. Both kids look a little disappointed, but leave it at that. Stan puts on a smile and drops Dipper and Mabel's respective fishing hats on their heads, and Mabel tugs hers on while running to the car while Dipper follows, exchanging his usual hat for the fishing one. Stan looks out after them and then turns to face you. Kids love to exaggerate. Pretty sure it wasn't that terrifying. Besides, I've been through worse. You hear that, kids? Only your Uncle Stan's got the right to complain. Stan hefts his fishing supplies over to one arm, using the other to dig around in his pocket for the car keys. He tosses the rods, hat, and tackle box inside. Mabel's hand darts in before Stan can close the trunk, grabbing at a hat. Before you can tell what it says, it's shoved into your hands, and you smooth out the fabric to read Trollymog. Stan groans. Mabel, I thought I told you I wasn't going to give it to her. But you worked so hard stitching it this morning. We even got the letters the right way on. Mostly. Mabel gets in the back seat next to Dipper, leaving you to look at the hat more closely. The sewing is a little messy and one of the letters is backwards, but Stan clearly put some amount of care into it. Speaking of Stan, he's staring at the hat that Mabel shoved at you, and thinking of something to say. Did you really make this for me? Stan scratches the back of his head and shrugs a little. Yeah, Mabel wouldn't let me leave until I made you one. Said it was nicer if all of us had matching hats or something. Personally, I wouldn't be super into this, but for Stan, I think we're gonna put the hat on. You put it on and beam at Stan. He doesn't respond, just reaching up and closes the trunk, but you see he looks almost too privately pleased to give comment. Come on, let's get to the lake before all those tourists take the good parking spots. The parking lot is far less packed than Stan made it out to be. The weather brought out the true fishing fanatics, and you recognize a few customers from the shack's gift shop milling about. There are a couple clouds out, but the sunshine is warm against your skin as you step out of the car. And you shield your eyes from the light as you look out over the lake. A few boats bobbing up and down in the blue-gray water sport telltale signs of fellow fishers, with poles sticking out over the boat's edges. But some people are just relaxing in the water. Families sit on beach towels and sunbathe, and you spot a couple of kids standing in line for a hot dog stand. For a small town, this place is pretty lively. Mabel and Dipper run out to the shore, where a splash from Mabel soon devolves the moment into a contest of who can splash who worst. You grin at them in their laughter, but a quiet grunt from behind you catches your attention. Left to get everything out of the trunk, Stan struggles to get the fishing equipment out without dropping everything. Oh, we're gonna help them. That's too rude. Hey, you need some help? Stan glances up at you. It's really not that much, you know. Not even a couple of poles? Stan considers this for a moment and then hands you 2 of the 4 fishing poles. Think you can hold your own? What, under the crushing weight of a couple of fishing poles? I think I can manage. You hear Mabel's voice from the distance, away to the shore. Truce, truce. Hold on, I got a phone call. You see Mabel taking out her cell phone as Dipper takes the opportunity to start wiggling out parts of his shirt, wringing out parts of his shirt. Uh-huh. Okay. I'll be there in 5. Bye, Grenda. Mabel hangs up and rushes to you and Stan. Grunkle Stan, I'm really sorry, but an emergency is happening right now as we speak. What? Is someone dying? No, the opposite. A birthing. Grenda Jr. is having a baby right now, and Grenda needs me there for motherly support. Grunkle Stan, you gotta let me go. Stan scratches his head and frowns. I don't know, sweetie. I thought we were all gonna go fishing today. Can't she hold it in? Isn't that a thing that happens? Nope, and it's not every day I get to see the wonders of iguana childbirth. Grunkle Stan, please. Mabel gives him those patented Mabel puppy eyes. Stan lets out a heavy sigh, shakes his head and smiles. All right, Pumpkin. Go on. I know your friend is waiting for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mabel wraps her arms around Stan's waist and gives him a strong hug, her wide grin never faltering. She then lets go and grabs Dipper's wrist before dashing off. And I'm taking Dipper for moral support. Wait, I didn't agree to this. Mabel! Mabel! I thought lizards hatched from eggs. I thought so too, but hell, I've seen weirder. Best not to question it, kid. Before you delve too deeply into the thoughts of live-birthed lizards, your phone buzzes in your pocket. You pull it out and it's a text from Mabel. Hi, Trolley Mug. I fixed you up so that you get a whole day with Grunkle Stan. Have fun. Oh shoot, I gotta go. Grenda says Grenda is getting closer to baby time. See ya. That clever little devil. Something wrong? No, just Mabel saying she's gonna send lots of pictures of the newborn lizard. Well, come on. Let's get to fishing before it gets dark out. Towards the end of the pier, docked with only a frayed length of rope, is a sad-looking dinghy with the words Stan o' War brushed on it in thick black paint. You notice a small rusting motor on the stern that looks like it's going to fall apart at any moment, and what looks like a hastily made patch on the side. There's no way this thing is watertight. Stan sets the 2 poles down inside, along with the tackle box and gestures at the boat. Well, there she is. A thing of beauty, ain't she? Well, you look at Stan, then back at the boat, and then back at him. It's a bit small, don't you think? Stan crosses his arms. What, are you saying you got a problem with my boat? No, it's just... Compliment man's boat. Carp capacity. There's not going to be enough room for all the fish we're going to catch. Where are we going to put the massive amounts of fish we're about to catch? Stan laughs at that, his expression brightening. Ha! Optimistic. I like it. I'm going to reel in so much fish that it'll be coming out of your ears, Stanley Pines. All right, Hotshot. I'll hold you to that. Stan climbs down into the boat first, and then offers you his hand to steady yourself as you follow him down. The boat wobbles a little, swaying dangerously away from your body, but Stan's grip is firm and you're able to get into the boat without incident. Whoa there, careful now. Wouldn't want you getting wet before we've even started. The footing's a little tricky, see? That plank has a habit of moving and tipping this boat the whole way over, and when that happens, you want to swing your way over here. Okay, no, I'm getting out. Stan chuckles heartily, making it clear that he was joking. In your relief, you notice that he's still holding your hand from the assist earlier. I'm just messing with you. Don't worry, you're not going to get wet, Toots. You're in good hands. And this, isn't the only fishing vessel I own. The other one's bigger, called the Stan o' War 2. Creative. Hey, I'm not joking this time. I've got pictures. Hold on. And you quit standing. Take a seat. Don't want you losing your balance. You sit and watch as Stan digs out his wallet and opens it. It's so full of photos that several come free, fluttering down to the floor of the boat. As you pick them up, you see that they're pictures of Seuss, the kids, and a teenager you've been told is Wendy. This is the Stan o' War 2. Stan hands you an unfolded photo, which depicts him and Ford standing proudly on the deck of a comparatively larger, newer, and safer-looking vessel than the one you're in now. It's docked in a place you don't recognize, and the sky is bright, blue, and cloudless. She's a resilient one. Sailed all over and never let me down once. Well, until me and Ford came back to Oregon. Then, poof, she spluttered out, and we had to send her in for repairs. Something about sailing in extreme environments. Point is, I'm back down to the Stan of War Mark I over here. This old girl's got her quirks, but she's reliable. I'm guessing this one needs fixing pretty often. Did that skip something? No, okay. Yeah, just like my El Diablo. Every time it broke down, I just fixed it up again. Learned real quick what to do and what not to do under the hood. He chuckles to himself and dusts off his hands before presenting his outstretched palm to you. You see that big scar right across my palm? I told the kids I got it fighting off a grizzly bear. You should have seen the looks on their faces. Thought I was some kind of hero, you know? But the real story is I burned it on the engine when I was 16. I must have thought I was hot stuff trying to change the oil while the car was running. Oh my god, were you alright? That must have been so painful. My pops called me an idiot for thinking the engine wasn't hot, but my ma cleaned me up in the end. You remember you're still holding his photos, and you hand them all back, which he returns to his wallet with some difficulty. Hey, does that wallet just carry photos, or does it hold money from time to time? Stan chuckles at your teasing. I'm just gonna give it a quick save, because it's been a while. Oh, I knew it! I knew it was been too long since it crashed. So let's launch that again. Load. Hopefully we can skip this time. Oh, we can't. Okay. All the tapping. A billion tapping. Oh, it really had been too long since we saved. Yeah, I gotta get better at that. Okay, we're getting closer. Okay, we're gonna save now. Nah, I just keep a lot of photos in there to remember. Keeps me grounded. Anyways, let's get this show on the road. Stan turns, busying himself with cranking the motor, and with a few pulls it sputters to life, expelling a thick plume of exhaust. Oops. He coughs and attempts to wave it away quickly. Stan gives the motor a couple of good thumps and it quits coughing, the engine smoothing out into a much gentler thrum. From there, he's back to focusing on untying the boat from the pier and easing it out into the open water of the lake. Glancing around, you spot the two policemen from your night in the clink, and you quickly duck out of sight, hoping to avoid being seen. Stan turns his head and notices you crouched on the bottom of the boat and quirks an eyebrow. You hiding from the sun or something? No, it's those two cops from a few days ago. Stan whips his head around, spots them, and lets out a laugh so loud it startles you. Who, Blubs and Durland? Ha, I told you, those two are harmless. And besides, I think today they're a little more focused on each other than us. You peek your head over the edge of the boat, just enough to check out Stan's claim. Sure enough, the two cops seem to be engrossed only in each other, laughing and applying sunscreen to each other's skin. It's cute, you think, and a relief that they're not on the lookout to arrest you and Stan again. Phew, thank goodness. That cell was way too cold to go back to. Stan gives you a nod of agreement, opening the tackle box. There's a bunch of colorful lures inside, a few hooks, and some spare string for the poles. He motions for you to hand him your pole, and within moments he's got a hook tied to the end of your line. You a live bait or a lure kind of person? I don't really want to deal with worms. I am a lure person. Ah, gotcha. I'm a live bait man myself, but I bet I can swing you over to my side in no time. Stan picks out a feathered lure from the tackle box and attaches it to the end of your line, and then hands you back your pole. The two of you settle into the relative quiet. As you wait for a bite, you look out over the lake and at the other people outside today. Whether because he noticed or whether he was just filling the lull in conversation, Stan starts pointing out faces of the locals, putting names to them and giving you a little background on each person. You quickly realize that the background info he gives has too much of his opinion mixed in to be useful, but you try to remember the names anyway. Still, time passes easily, and you soon find yourself reeling in quite a few catches of your own. Looking over at Stan, you've clearly managed to catch more, but he dismisses the difference with the excuse that his luck's just waiting to kick in any moment now. Seriously, any moment. He glares at the lake for a moment and then lets it go, leaning back with a sigh. Phew, I think it's time to take a water break, don't you? Trying to distract me so you'll gain the advantage? Hey, if you faint out there, that's not going to be on me, kid. You want a bottle or not? Okay. Toss me one, would you? Stan leans down and digs around in the bottom of the boat towards the bow, and comes away with 2 bottles of water, wet with condensation. He smiles and tosses you the bottle, and you catch it, twisting off the cap and taking a grateful sip. Until now, you hadn't realized how thirsty you actually were. And then this is a game about being thirsty, am I right? Stan takes out his own bottle and starts chugging the water, clearly more thirsty than you are. Some of the water slips past the opening and drips down his chin and onto his shirt, darkening the fabric. Your palms suddenly feel very sweaty and you can't look away. Stan notices you staring and swallows, taking the bottle away and licking the stray moisture off his lips. Your eyes both meet, and for a long moment you both just stare at each other, neither daring to take a breath. Stan licks his lips again, slowly this time, almost deliberately so. A sound of a boat motor breaks the silence, and you whip your head around just in time to see a speedboat tear past you at a speed that's definitely illegal for a lake as small as this one. You have half a mind to share a very rude gesture to the driver, but suddenly Stan is grabbing your hand and shouting, "Look out!" Because the massive wave created in the speedboat's wake is headed in your direction. It slams into the dinghy and rocks it off balance, tipping it dangerously to one side before dumping you both out into the water, fish and all. The water is cold, almost bitterly so for being in the middle of summer, and despite surfacing nearly instantly, you are already soaked and shivering. The poles, the tackle box, and the fish are all long gone, and the boat floats upturned some distance to your right. You swim over to it and grip onto the curved underbelly, gasping for air. You hear Stan spluttering behind you, making his way to the boat. He's yelling at the offending boat, using some very colorful terms you've never heard before, but make a mental note to remember for later for posterity. Once he makes it to the stand of war, he sags heavily against the wood, taking in deep, measured breaths. He too is completely soaked, and his wet shirt clings tightly to his body. As his chest heaves, you can't help but look your fill, and then pretend to be very interested in scanning the lake for the 2 policemen when Stan looks your way. Well, that's one disaster of a fishing trip. You can say that again. Stan lets out a disappointed groan and starts pulling off his jacket before tossing it on the upturned boat. What are we going to tell Dipper and Mabel, that their old uncle's lost his fishing touch? Ha, you wish. I could outfish you any day. I'd like to see you try, old man. Old man, well, I oughta... He splashes water on you, and you shriek in mock outrage before a wicked grin fills your face. Yeah, we're gonna splash him back. You rake your arm through the water, creating a big enough wave that splashes Stan, re-soaking him from head to chest. He looks shocked for a moment, before letting out a deep belly laugh and returning the gesture with an even bigger splash. By the time Blubs and Derlin come to rescue you, you're both so utterly soaked from the impromptu water battle that there's no way you're drying off in the sun. You and Stan exchange giddy smiles as Blubs heads back to shore, and something tells you that despite losing all the fish, you weren't going back empty-handed, and neither was Stan. Ah. The walk back to the car is slow and methodical, a relief after the adrenaline rush you just had a little while ago. Stan is wringing out his jacket, muttering under his breath something about damaging good Moroccan leather, when a sudden and violent cold chill runs through your body. Despite the warmth of the sun, your soaked clothes and clammy skin from the water all catch up at once and you start shivering. Oh, geez. Here, take my jacket. Before you can protest, Stan is draping his jacket around your shoulders. It's damp, but you're immediately surrounded by a sense of warmth, and your chills subside just a little bit. Somehow, despite having taken a dunk in the lake along with the rest of him, the jacket smells good. It's got a faint woodsy smell to it, and a hint of smokiness. It takes everything in you not to bury your nose into the thick of it. While you're busy taking in the jacket, Stan hops into the driver's seat and has the El Diablo cranked and running in a flash. You need a ride back? Stan, you are my ride. I know, I'm just teasing you. He reaches across the bench seat and opens the passenger door, motioning for you to come inside. Come on, let's get back to the shack. It's a lot warmer out in here than out there, you know? Stan flicks on the radio once you're cruising down the road, and a good song comes on, one you both know the words to. Stan is humming along quietly, and you pretend not to notice, not wanting to ruin a good thing. The breeze from the open window is calming, and as the trees whiz by, you don't regret getting soaked anymore. It's not long before Stan pulls up to the shack and shuts off the El Diablo, and you both exit the car. Your limbs crack and pop from exertion, and only now do you realize just how exhausted you feel from the day's adventure. Man, you'd kill for a nice, warm, dry bed about now. Hey, trolley mug, Stan halts for a moment and scratches the back of his head nervously. He's looking at the ground, shuffling his feet back and forth, trying to find the right words to say. I feel kind of bad about getting you all soaked today. I promised you'd be in good hands, and then everything went right to hell in a handbasket, didn't it? Stan, it's fine, really. Do you like campfires? What? I asked if you like campfires. Yeah, I like campfires. Great. Hold on, I'll just be a few minutes. You're left confused and standing in the backyard of the shack as Stan dashes inside, slamming the door shut as he goes. A chill breeze whips through the trees and you shiver. Despite Stan's jacket, you're still a little damp, and being exposed like this certainly doesn't help matters. You check your phone, and after several minutes are ready to give up and head inside the shack when Stan comes through the back door with arms full of marshmallows. I was hoping there would be s'mores. That is the way to my heart. Come here. I want to show you something. Curious, you follow him over to what appears to be a makeshift fire pit. There's already wood and kindling inside, and part of you wonders if Stan always keeps firewood lying around, or if he prepared this just for you. He pulls a book of matches from his pocket and strikes a match, the head bursting into a bright yellow flame. He tosses it into the woodpile, where gradually the kindling ignites. It's not long before you have a modest but warm fire at your feet. I figured you're still pretty damp, and I'm sure you're hungry as hell since we didn't catch any fish, so... He trails off and gestures at the fire and marshmallows again. It's the least I could do for screwing up your day. Stan. I think just the thank you. Thanks, I really needed this fire. Stan gives you an easy smile in return. Glad I could help. Hell, I needed this too. I took more of a dip than you did. Oh, no way. I'm way more soaked than you are. Wanna bet? You both laugh, sitting down by the fire to finally warm up. You're not sure how long you sit out by the fire, roasting marshmallows over the open flame. Stan's burnt his mouth more times than you can count trying to eat a marshmallow far too soon, and you've burnt enough of the treat to make even the stay-puffed marshmallow man weep. Stan plucks another marshmallow out of the bag and turns it over in his fingers a few times like he's contemplating something, before turning back to face you. You ever play catch with these? Huh? I mean, toss them up in the air and try to catch them with your mouth. Yeah, who doesn't do that? Hey, I thought I'd ask. You never know with some people these days. Suddenly a grin spreads across his lips as he tosses the marshmallow up in the air, straight towards you. Catch. You lean back and watch as the marshmallow slowly arcs and falls towards you. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. It sails just past your cheek and lands on the ground. Stan makes a disappointed noise, but you pluck the marshmallow off the ground anyway and pop it into your mouth. Close enough. That, I would never do that. I would never, ever eat a marshmallow off of the ground like that. That is not something that would ever happen. Suddenly the back door flies open, and out come Dipper and Mabel, running up to the campfire excitedly. They're both in pajamas, but look wide awake as ever, and are already snatching up the marshmallow bag to dig in. Are those marshmallows? Come on, Grunkle Stan, why didn't you tell us you were roasting marshmallows? 'Cause you should be in bed, Pumpkin, that's why. He ruffles Mabel's hair affectionately and pulls her onto his lap, handing her his roasting stick. Nope, we're teenagers now. Teenagers don't have bedtimes. I mean, 13-year-olds tend to. Yeah, exactly. So, Grunkle Stan. Answer still no, kid. No, you cannot go out on a 3-day camping trip to track ghost prints. But Grunkle Ford supports my theory. If you ask me, your Grunkle Ford needs a bedtime too. How is Stan the mature, responsible one? Like this, I sometimes feel like this in my own social group where I am definitely a reliable person, but sometimes, you know, those intrusive thoughts get the best of you and you become a force of chaos. So the fact that I sometimes am the voice of reason is a little concerning. So how was the live lizard birth? I think there is at least one type of lizard that... I don't know, maybe not. Oh, it was so exciting. Grenda Jr. was so relaxed, she didn't even realize Grenda Jr. Extreme was being born before her very eyes. And then... Wait, Dipper, you tell him the rest. Why don't you keep telling it? I didn't get a great look. But I gave you a front row seat right next to me. You saw the whole thing up close. Intimately. Unforgettably. Dipper shivers, and not from the chill of the night air. Okay, fine. So Grenda Jr. Extreme imprinted on Dipper. Isn't that the cutest thing? Little Dip Dop, a mom. No, it's not. And I'm not little. I'm manly. You and Stan chuckle at the kids' antics and give each other knowing glances as you pop another marshmallow into your mouths. The fire crackles, and you draw Stan's jacket further around yourself, feeling truly warm for the first time today. Oh, we got that love meter up a little bit further. It's a new day and you wake up early, grasped with the desire to go outdoors. You decide breakfast for one doesn't sound too bad, and maybe a walk. Greasy's isn't too far, and the food there was pretty good. You'll be back before anyone even knows you're gone. To fend against the morning chill, you put on Stan's jacket, which you haven't returned yet from yesterday. You didn't see him when you got up, so it wouldn't hurt to wear it one more time, would it? When you arrive at Greasy's diner, you're immediately greeted with the scent of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon. Looking around at the other diners, you'd guess that this is the breakfast rush. Of course, in a small town like this, that means about a dozen other people are here. You've only been in Gravity Falls for a week, but you're starting to learn some of the names, and Stan's refresher yesterday helped some too. That big burly guy over there with the bushy red beard is... You're struggling to recall his name. Let's see, was it... It's Manly Dan. Yeah, it's Dan. Hey, Dan. Huh? Hey, you're the tourist staying with the Pines. My kids are off somewhere else, so I got an open seat if you need it. It could be nice to talk with someone other than the Pines for once. While fun, their hijinks can get tiring even for you. Sure, what the hell, let's sit with Manly Dan. You take a seat on the empty stool next to Dan. Lazy Susan, the waitress, comes over from behind the counter. What can I get you to drink? Honestly, I would want tea, but since that's not an option, I would probably go for water. Sure thing. I'll have that right out for you. You notice she doesn't take Dan's order. Nice jacket. Thanks. Stan Pines loaned it to me. Yeah, half the town noticed that yesterday. Ooh, you hadn't realized it was that public. It was that public. Slash sent a lot of fish swimming my way, though, so thanks. Does word always move that quick around here? You worried about that now? People in town were already talking before that. You just gave them more to talk about. What were they saying? He shrugs, if a slab of solid stone could shrug. I don't listen to gossip. Gossip happens to come to my ear. Oh, that's a great line. That's something that I have to remember. Lazy Susan comes back out with your drink, as well as a hot cup of coffee for Manly Dan. You figure he ordered it before you sat down. Where was I? You watch as Dan lifts a steaming mug of coffee to his mouth, and then chugs the whole thing. It looks like an instant recipe for a second-degree burn, but surprisingly, almost sickeningly, he seems relieved by it. You're starting to realize why this guy has such a tough guy reputation. He sighs, putting the now empty mug back down, and turns to you. What were we talking about? I seriously can't remember. I'll get you a refill. You ready to order, sweetie? Me? Oh yeah, can I have the... We had eggs and bacon last time, so maybe waffles. They're not something that I can make at home, and I haven't had waffles in 10,000 years. She leaves, and you and Dan are left to sit in silence. So let's ask him about his family. So tell me more about your family. Wendy's my oldest. Then there's the 3 boys. Marcus, Kevin, Gus. He didn't mention a spouse. I feel like it would be rude to ask. 4 kids, huh? Haha, it's a lot, but I'm tough enough. They don't call me Manly Dan for nothing. He grins and flexes his muscles and... winks? You think you saw him wink? Let's ask him about Stan Pines. Actually, let's ask him about his order first. She didn't take your order. I'm a regular. Pancakes and hot black coffee. Like usual. Okay, well, I'll ask him about Stan now. What do you know about Stan Pines? Real con artist type. Not a friend of mine. But as long as Wendy's getting paid out of his pocket, I really don't care either way. Doesn't matter what I say, though. Looks like you already know what to think of him. Lazy Susan comes back over to the counter, setting your plate down in front of you. She gives Manly Dan a big stack of pancakes and a refill on his coffee. He gives him a minute nod to his plate. Like I said. The conversation comes to an end as the immediate allure of food takes priority. He finishes far faster than you do and looks out the window, squinting at the angle the light makes with the trees. It's time for me to hit the road. Nice to meet you. He goes to the register, pays for his meal, and jogs out of the diner. As he leaves, Lazy Susan comes back over. She leans against the counter, giving you a smile. So, stranger, I've been seeing you around here with the Pines and haven't even had the chance to talk to you yet. Mind if I stay for a bit? Not at all. We'll ask her about the town first. So how long have you lived in Gravity Falls? Oh, my whole life. Besides, what happened last summer, it's always been a nice town. Nice people. And nice food, right? Yeah, it's great. But what happened last summer, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, well, never mind all that. Not concerning at all. Let's ask about the diner. So are you the owner? Oh gosh, no, I'm just a waitress. Been here ever since I was a teenager. Me and Matilda have been the only waitresses here for years, but we've had a promising new trainee working here since the spring. She points out the window to where a blonde girl around Mabel's age is shooing a raccoon away from the diner's trash cans. Lazy Susan puts her hands on her hips with pride. Is that... what's her name? God, it's some sort of like North Forest kind of joke. Pacifica. I think that might be Pacifica. We're starting her out small. Woodpecker's next. Okay, we'll ask her about Stan. Do you know Stanley Pines? She laughs. Who doesn't? Oh, he's a real charmer, such a handsome fella. We almost had something once, but it didn't work out. It's so strange, I called him every night. So how are things going with him? What? You two looked so close. Saw you on the lake when I was fishing for dinner. Bet he's the real catch of the day, am I right? Laughing, Susan elbows you companionably, but you're speechless. She winds down with a sigh. Am I right? I'm right. Well, I better get back to work. It was nice to meet you, Trolley Mog. Enjoy your breakfast. And you do, digging back into your breakfast with gusto, until your meal is again interrupted, this time by the buzzing of your phone from inside your pocket. It's a call from a number you don't recognize. Oh, let's pick it up. Maybe this one won't be from a telemarketer. Hello? This Trolley Mog? Wait, Stan? Yeah, it's me. Look, I got a surprise waiting for you back at the shack. Think you can get back over here from wherever you are? The surprise sounds intriguing, so you promise to be there after breakfast. It's not long until you finish up, pay for your food, and head out the door. As you approach the shack, you spot Stan already outside. Hey, I was about to call again to make sure you didn't get lost. You plan this sort of timing, or what? It comes naturally. What's the thing you wanted to show me? You'll see. Just follow me. Stan leads you into a room in the back of the shack that you remember being used mostly as a storage space. Now, though, the furniture there has been pushed aside and boxes have been stacked up against the walls to make room for what looks like a boxing ring? It looks ragtag, hand-constructed, and distinctly homemade. He pulled this together just this morning. I started putting this together last night after everyone went to bed. I was admiring my new clown egg again, thinking about our drive last week, and I remembered I was offered to show you how to throw a punch better. Stan shrugs, casual, as though he hadn't already put loads of work into what he's prepared for you. So what do you think? Ready to learn how to hit? Yes, absolutely. Whoa, someone's eager. He grins, though, relieved, and it's like a weight came off his shoulders. Did he think you might have said no? Well, here, from his pocket, he pulls out a roll of what looks like gauze tape. Before we even do anything, we gotta wrap your hands properly. You could get hurt otherwise. He takes one of your hands in his, looping the tape around your thumb and winding it around your wrist, and then up around your hand, wrapping it snugly. He pulls the tape between and through your fingers as they rest on his palm. His hand is warm, the warmth seeping into yours as he holds it. It's faint, but you can feel the roughness of his palm as you watch as he works, confident but careful. It shouldn't affect you as much as it does. You should feel natural, grateful, nothing more. But when it's him and the two of you are nearly face to face, the act holds an undeniable intimacy. He pulls the tape back around your thumb and then around your knuckles expertly. It feels tight. No, not tight. Secure. Stan finishes the wrap at the wrist, and then you watch him pull the tape towards his mouth. Clenching it between his teeth, he jerks his head to sever it. The remainder is then wrapped back around, snug and complete, and Stan smiles down at his own work. He doesn't look up at you yet, but if he had, you would have been embarrassed by the expression that's on your face. Other hand now. You offer your other hand and he starts on it, the same as before. This time you watch the act less, and watch the look in his eyes more. It's his focus, you find, and the care underneath it. You can see it in every pull and twist of the tape, a conviction to protect, to secure. You're so lost in the sight that before you know it, he's done, and looking at you again. All right, not too tight, is it? No? Then let me show you how you should be standing. Oops, I did not want to auto. There, okay. I wanted to save. There we go. Standing. Is there something wrong with your posture right now? Stan starts giving some sort of explanation, but the moment he steps up to you and places a hand at the small of your back to guide you, words lose their meaning. You don't want to be too stiff, you see. He directs you, smoothing out the line of your shoulders, widening your stance, placing guiding hands to show you how you should be positioning yourself. He's talking again, but you're more than a little distracted. And that's why we do that. Make sense? Yeah. Good. Now on to punching. I've got some personal experience with the way you hit. I already apologized for that. And it could use a lot of work. Kid, I'm telling you, I barely felt it. Here's how to direct that strength. He demonstrates, moving to your right to assume the same stance he's guided you into, and swinging through the empty air. He does it again, slower this time, for him to explain how to shift your weight, where to start from, where to go. And then it's your turn, and after a couple of swings of your own, the hands-on guidance is back. Stan's hands, first resting briefly at your waist to adjust the twist of your torso, go next to your shoulders, nudging you into a better balance. He then corrects the movement of your arms, and his chest is warm at your back as he reaches to show you where to go. Your breath catches. Yes, there. Damn, you almost had it. Try again. Come back here and... actually, I think it'd help if I had, something to hit. Sure, we can... Charlie Mug, are you sure you want to go on? You're looking kind of red. This unexpected intimacy is a little overwhelming right now, and he's still so close to you. Especially after what you'd heard at the diner the other day, or today, that whatever you have with him is obvious. It has you a little on edge. I'm fine. You put this whole room together and we haven't even used it yet. We should. For that, you're gonna need these. He holds up a pair of standard, albeit a bit old, boxing gloves, handing them to you. You have some trouble putting them on. They're a little big. Hold on, let me do it. I'll lace them up for you. He takes your hand again, like earlier, pulling the gloves of the leather, or the laces of the glove tighter and tighter until the fit is snug. Is that too tight? No, that's fine. He ties it off and takes your other hand, cradling it in his own for a moment before his hands move up, brushing along your wrist. He pulls the laces together, and as he does, you steal a look at his face. There's that same focus, that same care. The longer you stare, the more you feel that heat rushing to your face, turning it red. How about that? It feels perfect. He looks up and his eyes lock with yours. He looks away, clearing his throat with a gruff cough, and you notice now that it's his face that's pink. We should get started. It's nice to see that you aren't the only one affected, as you watch Stan quickly wrap his own hands with a lingering blush on his face. He pulls on a pair of fingerless gloves next and walks into the makeshift ring. You're going to try to land a hit on me, all right? What, you're just going to stand there and let me hit you? Stan laughs, shaking his head. You think I'd make it that easy on you, Trolley Mug? No, I'm going to be hitting back. Of course, I'm not going to let any of my hits land, but it'll stall you enough to make it a challenge. Remember what I showed you. Jab, swing, and block. Putting them in action is the next step. Boxing's pretty simple when you get down to it, but it's all in the timing. You need to know that the other person is... you need to know what the other person in the ring's thinking. It's almost like a dance. That other person in the ring, even though you're up against each other, they're just as much your partner as they are your opponent. Even though you're going head to head, you have to be willing to get intimate with them. Knowing the right moves at the right time and in the right place, you wind up forming a bond with your opponent. You nod and step up to join him in the ring. Where did you learn so much about boxing? Well, when we were kids, my brother and I had it a little rough. We weren't too popular with the other kids in the neighborhood. So our old man put us through boxing lessons. He wanted us to be tougher. My brother couldn't quite take to it. Not exactly. Poindexter could ace the lessons, same as how he was good at anything he put that big old brain towards. But he quit the first chance he could. But me? What else did I have going for me, you know? If anything, I had to be tough enough to protect him, to keep us all safe. I've always got to be the tough one, and I always have been. It's hard, but sooner or later you forget what it's like not to have to feel tough. So I guess you could say it gets easier. After I left home, I was on the road for a bit. Got into my fair share of trouble that followed me wherever I went. But I was fine. I was tough enough. I knew how to fight. It got me far enough, didn't it? It's gotten me through all these years, and here I am with... Stan's eyes seem to glisten, but he looks away before you can tell for sure. He smiles with that big, ridiculous grin, as though to assure you. He fakes a cough and wipes at his nose. Geez, it's so dusty back here. We might as well get started already, huh? You probably don't want to listen to me rambling all day. Like I said, timing is key. Is it the time to make that big swing? Or will they be able to block it? Sometimes it's smarter just to take a quick jab. Even if you don't hit that hard, being quick enough to wear your partner down and keep him blocked is enough to get you there. So, let's dance. Oh, it's an actual little game. A jab is faster than a block and does 1 damage. A swing does 3 damage but is stopped by a block. If neither opponent blocks, both hits will succeed. Let's jab. Oh no, I did it. Stan doesn't look like he's tiring out anytime soon. Let's block. Maybe a swing? Oh, we both took damage. Jab. Oh. Block. Let's block again. There we go. Let's swing. Block again. Swing again. Oh, and it's a double knockout. You have to call it. You don't have any energy left in you. Stan's panting by now, sweat shining on his forehead and collarbone. I'm with you there, kid. I think we've both had enough. Stan laughs. It's been too long since I had a decent fight. Hey, you were great. You laugh too. The two of you lock eyes again, and there it is. That warmth, that redness. You're both covered in sweat, out of breath, and even though you're both exhausted, you still pick up on a light in his eyes, an eagerness. There's something there that's waiting to break in this moment of eye contact. Breaking the silence, you decide to be the first to act this time. You know what? I think I'd love to dance with you sometime. Yeah, we should do this again. Definitely. But I mean, I think I'd really like to dance with you in a more literal sense, too. Not as opponents, but together. You and me. You hope he feels this, too. This connection, this chemistry you have. It can't just be you. Your breath is held, nervous, and while it feels like time stood still in the space of that pause, just a second later Stan breathes in, and then he speaks. I'd like that, you know? I'd really like that. He's smiling in a way that lights up his face like you haven't seen before. You're smiling too, wide and goofy, full of a sheer giddiness that you can't contain. There's something intoxicating about it. And that is it for day 1 of Swooning Over Stans. Grunkle Stan is definitely the right choice for the romance for this. The game crashed right now, so this is unfortunately where the video ends, but it will pick up right where it left off tomorrow. So thank you, and please tune in to part 2 for Swooning Over Stans.